and I am certainly not the greatest analyst of all time when it comes to soccer, but there are some things you just know.
Please allow me, because I am, Dave.
The star player of the game the other night, who had scored both goals to give them a lead in the first half of 2-0, was a rookie named Cal Jennings. And Jennings –
That's right, yeah, Cal Jennings.
So Cal Jennings is it's the second half, and you could hear him get on Jennings to be a little bit more hustle, show a little more hustle on defense at about the 10-minute mark of the second half. And he, maybe he was tired. He played all of 55 minutes. And so he took him out. And after that, they had no scoring punch. And they gave
and you can't go back in, right?
They gave up 3 goals. No,
once you come out in the soccer?
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I knew that.
Just so you know, in college, you can come back.
Okay, I knew.
Pros, you can't.
Yeah.
And so that was
now help me with this. I saw where Tim Mulqueen's record was 11, 11, and 24. Tim, I think the first 11 means wins. Is it then draws and then losses, or losses and draws?
I've seen it both ways. I'm going to say
24 is a big number, whether it's L's or draws.
Yeah. I really didn't see that.
11, 11, and 24. No expert of my own soccer, Dave. I'm sorry.
It really could very
it's
well
hockey on
be.
grass. I don't know the rules.
It could very well be that it's 11, 11, and the 24 draws. Somehow,
then he should be named Ty Mulqueen instead of Tim.
I don't know if that is the case.
I mean, you're the soccer expert, not me. You call the games.
I do know that, and I should know. I would have to say it's probably 24 losses and 11 draws in there.
That's a lot of draws.
They were in the hunt for a lot of for most of the last year to make the playoffs.
The 2 games I went to last year, guess what the scores were?
2-0 and 1-1.
2-1, 1-0, both L's.
Oh, well, I wasn't too far off. Gotti.
In soccer, if you guess 1-0, 2-1, you're usually in the neighborhood.
Yeah, well, you're right. I will double check the Mulqueen record. And I feel bad for Tim because his heart and soul was in it. I don't know if he lost the locker room.
It's rolling. Memphis 901.
When you get crushing losses on a regular basis, at the end
scar
of games,
tissue in any sport, it adds up.
I think it.
Dang, bosses expect you to win, don't they?
Oh, they do. And that was Peter Freund's comment was. We thanked him for all the effort and the heart and soul that he put into it to get the organization going. He goes, but we expect championships here.
There you go.
We have not come close. Something to that effect. Yeah.
Winning matters.
Yeah. I'm gonna get that Mulqueen record.
It's got those gears grinding. I can see. I mean, deep down in the recesses of the gears, they are grinding to get the record. I just don't know.
I just want to make sure we get.
Drew walked down the hall and asked Ryan. We can get this settled really easily because Ryan, in our building, we have a certified soccer expert.
No, he had 11 wins, 11 draws, 24 losses, which is what I suspected. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, boy, no trickeration on how they listed it.
Yep. 11, 24.
Football.
The way we know it, it would be 11, 24, and 11, which means that over almost 2 seasons, because there's only, I want to say, 4 games left for the 901.
35 times he didn't win.
Well, let's put it like this. You get 3 points for a win, and you get 1 point for a tie. So we're talking about over 2 years, he had 33, 44 points. That's just
make no mistake about it. Without the virus, I would have been at 901 games this year, and I've said consistently I wish him well. There absolutely is a huge, burgeoning market for it. They had tapped into it. It's quite the shame what hit them because they were rolling. They had a lot of momentum. And now when we get back to our real lives, whenever we get back to them, I look forward to being at AutoZone Park at a game.
Here's the beautiful thing. The thing says Memphis, and that's not going to change, even if Tim Mulqueen won't be there. Tim Howard now is going to have to find a guy. And, Tim Howard goes back a long way. As a kid, he goes back with Tim Mulqueen. So this had to come after a lot of discussion, and there must have been some sort of loss of the locker room, I would suspect. I don't know that for a fact. But that happens when you have so many crushing blows, and then you look at it, 11-24, a total of 44 points almost through 2 seasons. They basically, when they gave up that lead last night, they gave up any shot, and it was already an outside shot, of making the playoffs this year because there's only 2 per group, and they've structured it differently than they did when they first set up the USL championship. And so I guess they felt that the move was going to be made. You're right. It's a shame because
I went last year to 2 games. I had to look it up while we were visiting on my calendar from last year. I went to see them play Charleston Battery and that football club from North Carolina, NCFC.
That's the one that they just lost to.
Now, speaking of, I mentioned hockey. That is in Charlotte?
Nope. Charlotte's got its own team.
Raleigh?
Yes, well, almost. What is
Durham?
the suburb of Raleigh? No, Durham is its own city. There is a suburb to Raleigh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Cary.
I've never been to either.
Cary, North Carolina. Oh, it's pretty as can be.
Yeah, Cary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been. They say that is some area. Research Triangle, what they got
Research
going
Triangle.
medically, business, everything. From the hockey last night, the Stars move on to the Stanley Cup. Yep. I was the only one of the 3 that have the Stars to win, but I'm Dormy. I can't win. You and Drew both had Vegas. Dave, we both have the Islanders. Drew, you have Tampa Bay, and they lead 3-1.
He's going to get that.
And that would make it 1 point difference. Dave would lead by 1 point going into the finals over Drew.
Woo.
So the Stanley Cup. So here's what I propose for Stanley Cup tiebreaker. Y'all see what y'all think about it. Since y'all are the participants, you let me know. I need your input, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to have to split the difference. You both can't have the same team because we got to have a clear-cut winner.
Well, who gets to pick first? Does Dave get to pick first because he's winning?
Dave's
or do we do it like golf and I get the first pick because I'm losing?
And we're not going to have controversy over the hockey, are we?
I think we might. I think as the losing,
as good as friends,
losing
all
person,
of us,
I deserve the first pick.
I've come to the point where
I would say the victor has the tee box, though.
Well, then why am I not getting the first pick in golf today or tomorrow?
I really don't know why we do it like that. I would say the victor should have the tee box.
Can I just say this?
So I get golf picks tomorrow if Dave gets the first one in hockey.
Well, we've been doing it all year like this, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. We're not changing but we don't have really any real
the only reason
any case law on the hockey.
The only reason we do it that way is you made the rule up. I just have gone along for the ride on this shock stuff, this quadruple stuff. That's not me. I'm a purist. I will say this to you, Drew, and I have to think about it, but I've gotten to the point while watching this Tampa team, they're thugs. They're bullies.
Boy, that's a loaded word, Dave.
They're goons.
Oh,
is that
man.
better? They're terrible.
But all loaded words, very incendiary.
They're probably going to win, but
you're going to say that to TJ tomorrow?
I can't root for them. I will. I'll be happy to. I'm going to say your team, a bunch of bums.
I can tell you who I'm going to be for in the finals. Whomever Drew picks.
That's exactly who I'm going to be for.
Just to do it to my man, the hockey expert that played youth
hockey. Speaking of our picks.
But if we tie, here's my suggestion. Total goals scored in the Stanley Cup Finals as the tiebreaker.
I mean, I'm good with that because
that number and up.
No, that's
because if I tie him, then obviously that means my team scored more goals.
No, that's gimmicking.
Well, you want to arm wrestle?
No.
Have a long drive contest? What do you want?
We have a tie. We could do we could do a
What, are we going to present a Lady Bing award for a tie?
It's all right.
I don't like ties. No, there are no ties in my book. Winners and
we
losers.
Start calling you Ty Mulqueen. Ty Willoshin.
Well, he can go first, and I'll just copy, and I win. That could work that way too.
Come on, Dave. That's not really
That's
the
how you want
fairness
to
of
win,
sport.
Dave. Really, that's how you want to win, Dave. Means that much to you. Okay, we'll reward Dave.
No, I'm sitting here saying, I mean, I am such a purist. I may not be able to root for a team that I actually think is going to win it all.
What?
I
Give me a
don't like the way they
tiebreaker
play.
formula.
I'll think about it.
You know,
I'll think
all right,
about
you
it.
think about it.
I'll think about
Get
it.
those gears grinding.
Gotti
last night.
That's
You're
right.
right. Woo.
Speaking of picks, I mean, we win. Perfect. We are even in locks for the year. Everything.
We
for
would
shows.
be group locks.
I mean, it is just sad.
You go 11-1 if Tennessee covers.
And they should have.
11-1.
The guy left 10 points on the field. 10. 3 field goals, and they weren't that long, and an extra
It was painful
point.
to watch.
It was. What,
Has a guy ever gotten a game
understand
ball post-game and then released the next day? You give him a game ball for kicking the winner, don't you?
No, not when
in the locker room.
Not when you've missed 3 field goals and an extra point. You don't get it. I mean, I was making fun of Cody Parkey yesterday. Lord,
yeah,
I will say this.
He's a punching bag.
Here's what I don't get. Gotti was injured, and he was having a bad year at the beginning of last year with New England, and it was the injury. So he had to have surgery, and basically that was the end of his deal with them. And so they released him. They didn't even want to give him another shot, which I thought was surprising. They found
cold-blooded.
They let Adam Vinatieri go, and then they got Gotti for 14 years.
They let Tom Brady go.
That's true. That is true. So they let Gotti go. Now Gotti got surgery. You would think, wouldn't the Titans, before they let the other guy go, wouldn't they test him out? I mean, he's only been there, a week, 2 weeks at the most.
This is about a year-long process with the Titans, though. They couldn't find a kicker last year.
Right. But my point is this. They only signed him 2 weeks ago. Wouldn't you say, Gotti, we know how good you were, but we know you had surgery. You live right down the road. Your wife's from Memphis. You got a house in Memphis.
Come on up. With Mike Vrabel. They were teammates with the Patriots.
Right. Come on up. Let's just take a look. Right? So didn't they have to try him out? Didn't he go in there and didn't he drill kicks? Then they go, okay, we don't want the other guy. Look, that's Gotti. He's healthy again. Let's bring him in. And then he did what he did. I want to say to you that it's the injury, that he's not 100% yet. But I don't know if that's the case because he certainly didn't
injury,
say
I think, started it, and now the confidence. And we know how fragile the kickers that they can be, and a lot of it, it's confidence to go out there and nail that kick and forget the last one. You have to think that Mike Vrabel sometimes today called Adam Vinatieri and said, "Do you have anything left? Yes or no? Shoot me straight."
I really don't know if he did, and maybe this was just a one-time.
Well, I didn't record the phone
deal.
call, but you've got to kind of presume he did, don't you?
Do you think he's just already given up on Gotti? I mean, Gotti.
If Adam Vinatieri said, "Yeah, Mike, I got plenty left. Let me come in and show you on the sly and kick for you," and then they'll cut Stephen Gostkowski.
Maybe. I do want to point this out. Gotti hadn't kicked in a while. No exhibition games. He didn't use the injury as an excuse.
Exhibition's big.
He
You're right.
did hit the game winner.
He did.
But it was only 25 yards, 29 yards, whatever it was.
Yeah, and see, I still go back to what they did to the kicker, moving the extra points back. You're going to make them basket cases.
Well, Brett, come on. You can't have just everything assured every time. My goodness.
Why couldn't you? We played forever, and we made it fine.
Why'd
we have to destroy them?
I like moving it back a little bit. They get plenty of money to wear that cap, except for the few kicks they make. Look, they kick it so well now, there's hardly ever a kick return unless it's a planned
They don't wear real pads, Dave.
It's okay with
they wear little 10-year-old Santa Claus Christmas uniforms.
They get handed out the authentic ones. Come on. Come on.
They don't get hit. They shouldn't get hit.
I wouldn't give up on Gotti quite yet. I wouldn't.
I'm not giving up.
I wouldn't start him on my fantasy team, though. I'll tell you
But
that.
Mike Vrabel had to call Vinatieri and go,
let me ask
do you
you
have
this.
anything left?
How many teammates does Vrabel have? You know, that's why Jadeveon Clowney, he signed with them because he played with them.
Well, he was a great teammate, and maybe the statistic of all time. 10 times targeted, 10 touchdown pass receiving receptions. He's caught Super Bowl touchdowns, wearing number 50.
Huh.
Great athlete.
Yeah.
Great guy, they say, in the Titans building.
That's what I've heard. You know, Mike Keith, their announcer, has told me he's just a wonderful guy to work with, just a tremendous person. And I may be wrong about Clowney. He might have coached him somewhere as opposed to. I think
he did.
As opposed to played with him. And I heard Clowney was actually very articulate and said, well, I came here because he coached me and I was all pro for 2 years. That's one good thing. That's the way he said it. I thought that was outstanding. But
and you know how tight they get with their position coaches.
Oh, yeah. And,
if they like them. If they don't, they're not tight.
As long as we're talking about last night a little bit, I thought Big Ben looked darn good.
I thought so too.
First couple of series, I thought he was rushing it. But then that last
time he
drive.
played in a long time. He missed preseason.
Oh, yeah. The last drive to end the half was vintage Big Ben. And then I thought he played really well in the second half, and they dominated the game.
They said 240 pounds. I don't believe that. He looked a little heavier than 240. He's a big boy.
I tend to think you're right about that. We'll have to ask Bo Marchand.
He looked like Giant Kruk out there, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he didn't look that big, but he is he's bigger than 240. We've got a busy show coming your way. We've got Gabe Kuhn coming up right after we give you top and not top. We've got Brent Beard. He'll join us, and he's got a whole bunch of college football notes out there at 4:30. The NFL with our friend Jeff Moore, former Vol, former Ram. Then we'll make some picks tonight. We're going to pick Vandy. I know at some point today we got to pick the Boston and Miami series. I finally have figured that one out. We have Bo Marchand, the aforementioned terrific writer and gentleman who covers collegetopro.com is his publication, and he does a heck of a job. And he was in New York yesterday to watch the Giants and the Steelers. Ron Tillery on the NBA. We got a doubleheader tonight. Can't wait to talk about that with Ron. And then we'll crunch time for Taco Bell at about 5:50 to end what should be a fun afternoon. Glad that you are with us.
This hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the golden opportunity September sales event. Great offers on the remaining 2020 models and always special lease options. And the 2021s, they will start to roll in quickly. If you ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look outstanding in a Lexus as well. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway, because if you want a Lexus, there's one place in Memphis to get it, and that's at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway. And put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. 901-362-8833. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
I'm going to try to go on a positive note because there's so much COVID out there that we have to talk about. I'll give that with all the numbers in a little bit. So my big, obviously the big story around Memphis only would be the firing of the only coach in the 2 years that the 901 FC soccer team existed. That would be Tim Mulqueen. Big Ten decision could be coming this afternoon before we get off the air. This is a weird thing. The Nebraska president was caught on a hot mic, didn't realize it was hot, telling an associate today that probably they were going to make a decision this afternoon and that he was optimistic about it. And then he, when told the mic was hot, said, well, don't misread that. I'm cautiously optimistic. But we should know, we do know this, Pac-12, they're now saying if they get it together at all, mid to late November is their most aggressive return date. So the two that decided not to play, one I think is being a little bit more aggressive. That's the Big Ten. The Pac-12 still, they're saying mid to late November.
My top story, 16 NFL teams are undefeated after week 1. 16 are winless. But the NFL pulled off week 1, and except for last night's late game, it was a stinker. I thought the rest of the ball over the course of the weekend looked pretty good. A little better than I really expected. A lot of running the ball. Pretty physical, real physical football for little practice time. 14 teams rushed 30 times or more. Another 5 teams rushed 25 times or more. There was a lot of running the ball this weekend. 42 rushes for New England, 40 rushes for the Rams. Running the ball back. I thought it was a pass-happy league.
Well, the Rams in particular, that was the biggest surprise to me, that they changed a lot of their approach. Usually at the beginning of years, defenses are ahead of offenses. And it's, I think, a little bit easier to run the ball than it is to pass. A lot more stuff can happen that's bad when you pass. So I can understand the amount of runs for sure in week number 1.
Not top story of the day.
Well, I'm just adding these up. Since August, when we all decided we were coming back, we have, I think it's 14 games that have now been postponed. From NC State at Virginia Tech might have been the first. Marshall at East Carolina, I think, was second. And then Monroe at Troy, SMU at TCU, Tulsa at Oklahoma State, Temple Navy, La Tech Baylor, Rice Marshall, UAB at Rice. So Rice missed a couple. Virginia Tech, Virginia, and then Memphis Houston this week, BYU at Army this week, and this one just in, Central Arkansas at Arkansas State. I don't know how Arkansas State played and beat Kansas State with the numbers they were down, but now that game has been canceled. We've heard things from Ed Orgeron today. Most of his team, he says, he doesn't give his number, but most of them, not all of them, have COVID. He is hopeful that by the time football starts in the SEC in a couple of weeks, they will be through with it and that they can't get it again. But he said now most of his team has had it. Texas Tech admitted they've had 75 cases since they began. 69 have now recovered. We know with Memphis there were 2 clusters on campus. A total of 36 cases. I don't get a breakdown of what was football and staff related and what was a different area of the campus with students that are regular students, but 2 different clusters at the U of M. This is, I think, sort of good news as we give you the Shelby County dashboard numbers for the day. They've got this new testing protocol, Brett, which now has added in one day 132,000 tests. Think of that, 132,000 tests. There were only, now this is way up from yesterday when there was, 400 tests, 600 tests? 132,000 tests, only 213 new cases up from yesterday. That means the positivity rate was 0.2%. 0.2%, the lowest I've seen. So now there's 29,930 cases, 0 new deaths. And I'll give you this. I'm not going to give you all the Tennessee, Mississippi. We'll go over those again tomorrow. But here, I'll give you this. Dashboard on the world, 29.7 million. It's getting slower and slower, the amount of cases. 936,000 deaths. That's getting slower on a worldwide basis. 21.25 million recoveries. And here's the best. Another new vaccine. 172 vaccines in the works. Go ahead, Brett.
I just want one. I'm ready for one vaccine. Pac-12's my not top story. Pac-12's earliest return date. They're now talking mid-November, as Dave said. Sure can't wait for them for the college football playoff, but we can for college basketball. How are they going to play college basketball out there in those states that, according to state mandate, you can't have any public assembly indoors?
You know, I say this on a note, since it's the Pac-12 from Oregon. I have a friend who was in Portland yesterday. He could not play golf around the Portland area. the visibility, and he's a pilot, so he knows, was a quarter of a mile. The rule is you can't be outside. He says it's when you're outside there, it smells like you're at a campfire when you were a kid, out in front of the campfire roasting marshmallows. That you're not even allowed to play golf. How could you do a football? How could you play a football game outside in those circumstances? We got so many things going on between fires and floods and the Hurricane Sally going on down in the Gulf. My goodness, it is absolutely a nutso world. Those are your top and your not top stories. We are officially underway on this Tuesday. When we return, we will talk about this COVID stuff and Memphis football. Gabe Kuhn, former Tiger, will join us in a moment. This is Sports Time on Sports 56.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Great news, sports fans. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse is now open for dine-in service. Make a reservation and enjoy a mouth-watering steak dinner. Or, if you prefer, take it curbside. In addition to their fantastic steaks, the Butcher Shop Steakhouse has a variety of entrees, including Canadian lobster tail, crab stuffed shrimp, pan-seared red snapper, and fresh ground steak burger with portobello mushroom sauce. Planning to cook out? The Butcher Shop Steakhouse offers a great selection of fresh Angus beef, hand-cut steaks and burgers, lamb chops, Atlantic salmon, and more. Make your reservation for dine-in or pre-order for curbside pickup. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, dine-in, curbside, and delivery. Plus, enjoy the sizzle of top-quality Butcher Shop steaks on your own grill. Call us at 757-4244 and visit our website, thebutchershop.com, for menus and more. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway.
We've all heard of Casper, the sleep company with outrageously comfortable products at not so outrageous prices. From award-winning mattresses to pillows, sheets, and duvets, Casper transforms the way we sleep, one snooze at a time. Every Casper mattress is designed with a system to react and adapt to your body all night long. Inside, precisely 1,501 perforations create a cooling system so effective that you will not be awake to notice. Only Casper mattresses are made with 86 supportive gel pods to align your spine and eliminate aches and pains. Altogether, it's the cooling, supporting comfort that you need for the most refreshed feeling come morning time. From bedding, bed frames, and now even a dog bed, Casper has everything you need to build the bed of your dreams. And now with 0% APR financing options, it is even easier to try a Casper mattress. Simply go to Casper.com, use the code ROAM, and get $100 off your mattress order. That's code ROAM, R-O-M-E, for $100 off your mattress order. Terms and conditions do apply. See Casper.com/terms.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in as we cruise through our very first hour on just a beautiful Tuesday. The weekend, by the way, is supposed to be spectacular. Play golf early, watch a lot of football. That's sort of my game plan since I no longer have a football game to do. But I will say this. Memphis is definitely planning on going to San Antonio. Tigers Sports Properties, Learfield, paid for my trip to a flight to San Antonio today. So I know that game is going to happen, or at least that is the plan for the moment. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, but at I-40 and Whidden Road, and just so you know, it's 2120 Whidden Road to be exact. The world's biggest spa sales going on, up to 30% off spas, and even those big swim spas. And you can choose from hundreds of different types and from multiple manufacturers, and I can tell you most of them are state-of-the-art. There is special financing available. There's special pricing right now on chemicals and accessories as the pool season starts to wind on down. You always get professional delivery. It's available if you want it to your home, or they'll bring it out to your car in the parking lot. However it works for you, they are willing to make it work the right way for you and to make your home a staycation place. The place to go is Family Leisure. We want to proudly recognize that we're going to be on a new frequency on the FM. We will still be on 96.1, but we're also now going to be on 98.5, which is a terrific signal. 98.5 is our new frequency. We will be off of 88.7 in a little bit, but we are still going to be on 91.9. 96.1, excuse me, 98.5 now, the new one. And, of course, the old standby, AM 560. So we just thought we would let everybody know that. In the meantime, always in this slot, it's always a pleasure to talk to former Tiger Gabe Kuhn about what is going on. I guess my first question for you is, were you anywhere near any kind of party bus after the Tigers win over Arkansas State?
Dave, I was driving the thing.
Oh.
I don't know if you're talking. I was driving it. So,
you're not old enough to be that parent. Come on.
Absolutely, but no. I was not part of any party bus, and I you know what, Dave? Something tells me that no one was part of a party bus, so to speak. I just it seems somewhat far fetched. I believe in on-campus parties possible. I believe maybe going out to a bar is possible, but the party bus thing just doesn't seem all that realistic to me, although I could be wrong.
Do you think Houston really wanted to play that bad this week, or did they try to kind of run it over the cliff where they could play Baylor?
I don't know. Adding that game certainly is cool for them. So, but I don't know what it is. You see Arkansas State now with they had to postpone their game this weekend. So you certainly wonder if that, not even wonder, you certainly can draw the conclusion that maybe some of these guys were not presumed positive at the time they played the Tigers. Maybe it was, in fact, transferred on the field. So I don't know everything.
I don't think any of us do. Let's clarify this, okay? Because it was not a party bus. That's what the university is saying. But the university did say they thought at that time that COVID cluster came from some social event. That was their word.
Yep.
Social event. And then Ryan Silverfield expounded upon that by saying it was a van, and it was not a big party van. It was the van of a parent, if I recall correctly. And it was not what it seems. Now, who knows with Arkansas State, because look, they played, what was it, 9 guys that played against Memphis did not play in the game against Kansas State, and they'd missed 2 other guys, I know, in the Memphis game. So to sort of answer Brett's thing, yeah, I first of all, wouldn't that be the call of the conference where where Houston has to go, look, I don't think we can play these guys. Do you mind if we play Baylor? And if Memphis could play the game, I would think the American would have said, wait. We got to play. We got to play our 10 conference games. So, you have got to make that game work. I think Memphis didn't want to play the game because they were going to be down 20 guys or more.
Yeah. When you have enough starters on each side of the ball missing, you probably don't want to do it. And then, Arkansas State mentioned that they could not fill out it too deep at multiple positions. So, at that point, it doesn't seem very, smart, especially when you consider how much contact these guys probably had with those COVID positives, their teammates. It's probably just not smart to play a game. But I really wonder, given how Arkansas State has handled this thing too, where these tests come from. I'm not blaming it directly on Arkansas State, but it would not be out of the realm of possibilities that COVID was transferred that day in the Liberty Bowl. It's certainly not out of the realm of possibilities.
Gabe, for a college football team that you've been a part of and know so well, it's really not a stop and start sport, is it? Not many are.
No. Weeks off could be detrimental to how you're developing during the year, and not to mention, I was talking about this with Drew. I was talking about this with Johnny. It's very interesting to think about these guys that actually have to be quarantined for a week, and then they have to come back and say they start. They have missed out on a lot of workouts. It's very possible if they haven't done any physical activity, which they can't because they're in quarantine, that they could be out of shape. You lose shape very quickly from being out of football, and I think that's something that's been somewhat underplayed. You can talk about, they're missing starters. That could be something. But when those starters end up back, how are they going to be? Are they going to be full 100% ready to go? Probably not. And I think that's been sort of an underplayed sort of storyline through this whole season so far.
I think you're right. I don't think there's any practice going on right now. I think they've ceased all football activity. So it's not like, okay, we got 15 or 20 guys that are not playing, because he basically said they're going to start. They're having Zoom meetings as a team, and I'm sure by position after that. And then they said they would start training again for conditioning, not contact, conditioning. I wanted to say it's later this week, right?
And heck, yeah. And the guys that test positive, say it's a 2-week process, there is not a quarantine workout group. There's not a quarantine practice group. So these guys are likely sitting at home, drinking plenty of fluids and watching TV. They can't do much else. In fact, when you're sick, you're usually not supposed. You're supposed to refrain from physical activity. So when these guys get back, again, I am curious what their physical readiness to play will be like once they get back onto the field. That's something that has been downplayed. But I certainly want to make that known. I mean, heck, I got hurt for 2 weeks my sophomore year, and I remember coming back just severely out of shape. I came back for the second game of the season. It's interesting how long it takes to gain that physical readiness and the strength and the conditioning, and how easy it is to lose it.
Gabe, let's go to your position grouping in the offensive line, the big guys. Mm-hmm. The wide receivers, the running backs, the quarterbacks, they can get out there in free time or at the indoor complex. They can go somewhere. They can find somewhere to hum the ball around. There's only one way for the linemen to practice, and that's against other linemen. And you can't do that shut down.
Right. And you could maybe go and try and hit a sled, but that's not going to even come close to replicating game speed by any stretch of the imagination. I'll tell you, trying to block a moving target versus a stationary target is a completely different deal. So, again, it just goes back to the readiness. You wonder if there's guys along that offensive line. You look at Evan Fields, who was supposed to start at right guard, who didn't end up. You wonder a guy who hasn't had any experience in any game so far, missing spring, and now missing the first game of the season and the second game because of postponements. You wonder how ready he will be when he gets back. But that sort of highlights another thing about offensive line, defensive line, how easy it is theoretically too, if you have a COVID positive test, how easy it is to spread. Because again, the only way you can practice as an O lineman or D lineman is by physical contact and touching each other. So it's just, I think it'll work itself out here in the end, especially considering they've been out of practice here for a few a few days, and they'll probably go another week without it. But this is just something that's happening all around the country right now, and we're still learning. We're still trying to figure out logistically how to deal with it, and I think it's just going to be an ongoing process.
I think it also is going to make it so hard for any team, and that includes Alabama, that includes Clemson, that includes Notre Dame, if they're the team, to run the table. Because you are going to run into, if we keep contact tracing the way it's going, and maybe that protocol will change as we get rapid tests and we start testing every day. That whole thought process may be altered slightly and make it easier on the contact tracing, which means you miss practices. But missing all this practice, missing certain groups of people, if you've got 3 or 4 and you've got to play second stringers in that particular position for a week or two, I don't. I mean, if that's the case, and here's Memphis, been together all this time, play one game and this occurs, unless they antibodies like at LSU where everybody's had it already and you can't get it again.
Yep.
But if that's, but we've seen where people have had it twice, so I don't know the answer on all of that. But I just think, and both of your thoughts on this, I think it's a year where we're not going to come close to anybody being undefeated.
I think you could still get undefeated teams. But I certainly think, like, the thing that stresses me out more than anything is you hear about the SEC, 10 games in 11 weeks, and then now with the Big Ten, supposedly, we don't know actually if they're going to play 8 games in 9 weeks. You just sort of wonder with these power conferences if they will actually be able to get through all of their games without postponing or canceling. And based on what we've seen so far, it just doesn't seem very realistic. And I am honestly astonished at, the amount of flack, thrown the Big Ten's way. And at this point, why they are deciding that, hey, maybe we should come back and play when you've seen a lot of cases where it actually has been very hard to control COVID-19 with certain schools.
As always, we appreciate it. I know you're right in the middle of practice, so get back to it. I hope you
hopefully we get cleared here.
I hope you get some word this week. I know I know that there have been meetings already with that new oversight board that is talking about leaving the TSSAA and if they're going to play this year. And my hope is that you at least find out, because it's got to be frustrating to go every day and those poor kids working their tail off, not even know if they're going to play. Yeah,
absolutely. Just got to try to keep them motivated, and I think we're seeing that at all levels with football. Is trying to keep these guys motivated and keep them sort of level-headed through all of this. It's definitely a challenge.
Thank you, Gabe. As always, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, fellas.
Brett, your thoughts about undefeateds? You think it's still possible?
Oh yeah, I think there'll be a couple from around college football, not any more than normally, but there'll be a couple that can do it. It's hard every year, but it's going to be even more difficult this year because when the timing hits on losing a player on the protocols, it'll be really tough. Gabe Kuhn brought to you in part by Crab Kings. It's official. That's the best seafood place in town. 7 flavors to choose from. Try the chicken and shrimp pasta. Now available salmon and fried lobster pasta, snow crab, king crab, Dungeness, and more. Fish platter, $9.99. Lobster tails, $10.99. Jumbo wings, 99 cents each. 99 cents each at Crab Kings. Download the app or search Crab Kings on Google. Visit the great locations and visit them online at crabkingstn.com. That's crabkingstn.com. Crab King Seafood and Pasta in Memphis. And remember, all the great flavors like snow crab, king crab, the fish platter, the fried lobster pasta, and the salmon, and so much more, the chicken and shrimp pasta. It's great at Crab Kings. That's where the great seafood is located in Memphis. And in part, they help bring Gabe Kuhn to you every week, talking Tigers football.
And we definitely appreciate that. Back in just a minute, we'll try to figure out this Boston and Miami series. That comes your way in just a minute on Sports Time.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
You have to be up in 5 hours, 2 hours, 6 minutes. And when you hear, you realize that you haven't slept a wink. That's why there's ZzzQuil Pure Z's, a drug-free blend of botanicals with an optimal dose of melatonin so you can fall asleep naturally with no next-day grogginess. It's available in both liquid and gummies, tastes great, and is non-habit forming. Pick up ZzzQuil Pure Z's from the sleep experts at Vicks ZzzQuil. ZzzQuil Pure Z's, naturally superior sleep. Available at retailers near you.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter finds the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists.
And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey Tiger fans, this is John Stacy of the Wolf Chase Honda Blue and Gray Show. You can hear Drew Barrett and I talk Tigers with Tigers every Sunday night at 5 right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7. You never know which Tigers great we'll have in the studio with us either. We'll get them to call in too. We are your go-to show for Memphis Tigers football. That's the Wolf Chase Honda Blue and Gray Show right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Periscope. Don't miss out on anything. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 on social media. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We like to party. Welcome back into the Family Leisure Studios. So, tonight we got a doubleheader in the NBA. I can't wait to pick Ron Tillery's brain about all this.
Good stuff tonight.
It is. It's a Game 7, which is always the best, and then a Game 1. And the Game 1 is what we've got to talk about now, and that is Miami against the Boston Celtics. The Celtics are a team that I think they're a lot of fun to watch. They can get up and down the floor. They got an old superstar in Kemba Walker. They got a young superstar in Jason Tatum. I don't know exactly what the status of Gordon Hayward will be, but I suspect he'll figure out a way to get in it. I don't know what kind of physical shape he'll be in, but he'll probably be in it by the time this game is all this series is all over. The Heat are a team that knocked off the Milwaukee Bucks, and they did it in 5 games. Who would have thought that would be the case? Knock off Antetokounmpo. That's not easy. You've got some veterans here like Dragic, and you've got young guys. Hero has been your rookie, even though Nunn was the guy that got more votes at the Rookie of the Year voting, but he's really come on. Hero's been terrific. Bam Adebayo has been terrific.
Great player.
I think this game.
Great coach. Two great coaches. In this series.
Absolutely great coaches. I think in the end, I think Boston's got enough firepower to overcome what will be a great matchup. And I think I'm going to say it'll go in 6, and the Boston Celtics will defeat the Miami Heat.
I think this has 7-game classic written all over it. And in the bubble, I mean, it is just right down the middle. If it was swinging back to TD Garden or down to Miami, you might have some influence.
I'd go 7
but it's not.
then.
I mean, it's split right down the middle. Dave, you take Boston. I'm going to take Miami. Carl Morris, who, if the Clippers win tonight, he's 12-0 in postseason NBA picks. But he likes but he likes Denver tonight in that game. We're not picking game by game, but he still gets the Clippers for the series. He'll go 12-0. He takes Miami. I take Miami. Drew?
I should listen to Carl, because it seems like he's been just the hot hand this year. But I'm with Dave. I'm going to have to go with Boston. I think they just got too much firepower, and I think Miami's luck's going to eventually run out. I'm with you, Brad. I think it goes 7, but Boston gets it done.
Okay, I mentioned for Celtics, Lakers, if they got to the finals, why not create a bubble? It's not doable. I was joking mostly. But for Clippers, Lakers in the NBA finals, could you not create a Los Angeles bubble?
Does it really matter if fans can't come?
No.
So why would you do it? You're already in place. You have to travel you have to travel cross country to play it, including television crews and NBA officials. And why even take that risk when you're already in a secure place?
And when the bubble's gone,
if your goal was we want people to come, it's all in Los Angeles, then I could see it. But we know it's not safe to do that. And so why would you move it to LA? Yeah.
And you just wonder at what point next year, and I think it will be 2021. I don't think we're indoors at FedEx Forum the rest of this calendar year. Do we get back in 2021? Will the NBA try to wait the scheduling out until then? They're now saying that they will not release next year's schedule minimum until 8 weeks out from the first game.
Right.
And now talking about moving back the draft from November 18th, maybe a week or two.
Well, think about it. The NBA draft is normally when? In right after the
last Thursday in June.
Last Thursday in June. There we go. So they've already decided they're going to move it to November. And the season normally is already being played in November. So you're talking about not starting until at least if November's the December. You're not starting till the first of the year if you start then. And as I've said this before, I've read several articles where NBA officials are saying if we think we can have crowds, we'll wait till March to start. Now they wait till March to start. Obviously, the following year will start in December, and they may even contract the regular season and play the full playoffs again.
And might even contract next year.
And they could. Right.
Next year could be limited.
Well, I think they would. If they started in March, they have to, if they're going to have a full season the following year.
In normal times, next Monday would have been Grizzlies, either next Monday or the following Monday would have been Grizzlies Media Day.
Wow. Really? That's right. I mean, we're so mixed up in our calendars now. But I'm going to give you 172 reasons why I think they will wait until March and we'll start this thing. It's because we're going to have
Are they millions or billions?
One of those 172 vaccines are going to come through.
Okay. Well, we just need one.
And by the way, did you see the article that the FedEx is a part of the distribution process of the vaccine?
Of course they are.
And so
right in the middle of it.
Doesn't that make you feel a little more secure? When I know St. Jude has become involved, I think, a little bit in
two of the most trusted brands
the research
in anything.
And the distribution process is involving FedEx. Those two Memphis entities I have total faith in. I really do. Total faith in both of those entities. This portion of the show is brought to you by Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. Man, we had a lot of rain, and I kept looking up because I remembered that's what Brian Elder and Chris Price and all those people have told me. Look up. Don't let your roof become a problem because it can. You don't want it to get that way. That's the beauty of roofing. Really, it is an emergency service, and they are there to make sure you don't have a major problem. Don't let it get that far. Let the good guys from Brian Elder Roofing come out and check your roof. If you've got any thought process that Maybe the wind ripped away a few of the shingles. If you look up inside in your house and you see a few stains, get them out there before it becomes a real problem. 867-0303. That's the catchy number. 901-867-0303. They've got the best warranty in the business. No questions asked warranty. That means they're going to make it right for you. And that's what sets them apart from all the others, and they only use the latest technology and all the new equipment. Heck, they can measure your roof from outer space. That's how good they are. You've got to make the call for a free consultation. If you've got any suspicion, it doesn't cost you a penny. Just dial 901-867-0303. They do the rest. 867-0303. That's Brian Elder Roofing Solutions. College football front and center. When we come back, it will be Brent Beard. Don't go anywhere.
I almost never go to Central Barbecue without running into somebody I know.
That could be because you only eat at Central Barbecue.
It's because Central Barbecue is where Memphians go to get barbecue and has consistently been voted the most popular barbecue restaurant among locals.
Actually, that's really saying something.
I know. Memphis is the nation's capital of barbecue. With all the choices, people who live here go to Central Barbecue.
They do get their share of tourists.
Sure, because Central Barbecue has been mentioned on TV and in tons of national publications. You know why?
Because of the great food?
Because those TV shows and magazines look for the place where the locals go, and that, my friend, is Central Barbecue.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in. Second hour on a Tuesday. Lots has happened already today. Tim Mulqueen, 901 FC coach, only one that USL championship franchise ever had. He built the team. He is out. Ben Pierman, the assistant coach, is now the interim head coach. I guess it'll be up to Tim Howard and Craig Unger and Peter Freund, the owner, to figure out if indeed who will be the next coach. Probably won't see him until next year. We had so much college football to talk about, but we did get news today. Ed Orgeron said most of his team has COVID. We had interesting protocol change when it came to testing. They added 132,000 new tests, and this shows you how the numbers are getting better here. 0.2% positivity, not 2%, 0.2%. And, just the other day we were at 13.8%. So that is a huge thing, and that'll bring the total positivity down too. So there's a lot of good things happening. Not so good with the cancellation of as many games as we have had, and that is something, I guess, including the Memphis game now, Brent Beard, that we're just going to have to learn to live with. How are you this afternoon?
Well, I'm doing okay. It's good to be with you guys. Our numbers are coming down consistently here, and the good thing about it is one of the local doctors that we talk to on a weekly basis says that even after Labor Day, he thought there would be a spike, and there has not. So we take that as good news for any of that to happen. So, but yeah, Dave, we're just going to have some of the game situation. I tell you what is amusing though, or the tweets that I see that mention how it takes 20 years to get some of these games scheduled. At least that was the way it was in the past. And now we're getting games scheduled within 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
That you're playing either this weekend or the following weekend, so it proves it can be done.
Oh, it can be done, and we know now in the future when people talk about we just can't get together. Texas and Texas A&M, for instance, they both know where the other one's located.
True.
If they want to play, they can.
Yes, and probably a lot sooner than they want people to actually realize too. So yes, that is one of the good things about this, or that if you've got a Saturday open and you've got someone else who's willing to play, let's go.
Let's go. And now it sounds like the Big Ten's going to go. How long do you wait if you're the college football playoff committee on the Big Ten?
Well, at this point, the thing that's interesting, and we were debating this here yesterday, would be, are they going to have a 10-game schedule or less? And now what we're hearing and seeing is it probably would be less, and say 8 games starting in the middle of October. They may be, the committee may not admit it, but they may be running out of patience with them like everybody else is at this point. But and what's also interesting is all the interest and all the talk about the Big Ten, and I get that, where there's almost very little of anything about the Pac-12. Usually what the Pac-12 does is follow the Big Ten, but I mean, you don't see anything with them that would, that if they were going to play, that they would play, barely before Thanksgiving type situation. So their situation is even more ridiculous.
Yeah. 8 or 9 games for the probably 8 games, right? Isn't that
yes.
what the Big Ten would end up with? And then they would be on schedule.
But you wait on the Big Ten.
Why? You don't have to wait, right? I mean, it's an extra week. Yeah, I would certainly do that. I just wonder if they're going to get enough swing votes. The Nebraska president, his mic was hot, and he was pretty optimistic about it. The Wisconsin president or chancellor, they were pretty hot and heavy, like this was going to happen. But I think it's a she.
Many are reporting it was a landslide. The vote.
Well, have we had the vote? That's the thing. I think they're voting.
Many
today.
are reporting that This is what's great about it. Many credible people reporting there's been a vote and it was a landslide. Many credible people voting are reporting that it hadn't been a vote. Some are reporting that that there's been a vote and it was close. Somebody's going to be right, Brent.
Well, with as many suggestions as there are, someone you throw the something up against the wall, what's going to stick? But I mean, it's everything we hear and see is like you guys. I mean, that it's supposedly a done deal, going to be something announced tonight. And then they go from there. So, but look, it's like someone tweeted this afternoon, all we know about the Big Ten right now is they are a conference, and that is it. And that was, I'm sure, supposed to be amusing, and which in reality it is that they are able, hopefully, to rectify one of the biggest, I think, arguably right now, easily the biggest mistakes there's been in college football history in a lot of ways. I'll be interested to see how history judges this situation at this point. Look, guys, they will come up with, we've had further testing and that, and we now deem it to be safe to play again. Merciful heavens. There's so many reasons for them going back, and one of them, I've got a consultant friend that I asked him about this. He said, look, the reason they're going back is that they've got so many lawsuits against them right now, they don't know what to do about it, and don't let anybody tell you that that's not one of the real reasons they're going back. Is to keep from having to deal with so many lawsuits at this point, and I think right now that's a valid point.
Yeah, and Nebraska's Attorney General and Ohio's Attorney General, they're going to play for keeps. I turned it on the Big Ten Network right now. I'm watching the Big Ten Network, and they are showing a replay of the Nebraska Miami Orange Bowl from 1995. Yep. Surely they'll go wall to wall with an announcement tonight. And I love Dave Revson, and I really love it in college basketball season, Dave, when Dave Revson is with Mike DeCourcy a lot of nights on Big Ten coverage. I'll just purely say it. I don't care what the blowback is. I like Dave Revson as the Big Ten's face man better than the SEC's face man.
Yeah. Listen, Dave does a really good job. I don't think there's any question about that. I hear him all the time on Sirius Radio and other entities at this point, and he's very credible. And I'll tell you one thing, I felt for those guys. No one really talked about that much. To have their own network and my goodness gracious, live, all you can play or replays at this point. Of course, the SEC's done the same thing, but I'm with you on Revson. They do a good job on there, and I tell you what, Jerry DiNardo's done a nice job on there. A lot of people didn't care about Jerry as a coach, but look, as an analyst, I think he's been fine.
I want to go back to what we were saying with Wisconsin and their Chancellor Rebecca Blank said today, and so this is going to be, Brett, a little like the SEC when they have their meetings. It's going to come out with unanimity because she basically says we're all going to move together in the Big Ten. We're all going to play or not. So she's not giving anything away, but she's basically saying it is going to be a unanimous decision. And I think we should try. We've been trying, but if you're trying to make the argument for the other side, when you look at it, what is it, 3 games this weekend now not scheduled that were originally scheduled, 16 total since we started the football season, where our good friend David Cobb, who's with us on Mondays from CBS, is just he's tweeting out if he were Tulsa, he'd take a hard look at the game on the 26th against Arkansas State because they've had all of this trouble. And do you want to take a chance with the Rona when UCF and Cincinnati are next on your schedule? So you could take all of these events and say we're not really doing all that good.
Well, I mean, you could, but the reality is, we had a day Saturday where we started at noon and ended past midnight and frankly did fine. But I still say that the protocol that these schools set up in the beginning that they talked about, and to their credit, the NCAA helped them set up. Frankly, a lot of that has worked. I mean, has there been some setbacks? Of course, that there has. But and again, the money means a lot because if you're a Power 5 school, you almost got a mini hospital on campus in order to deal with a lot of this. And that they've gone with some ups and downs. But listen, I still say, guys, if we can get 6, 8, 9 games in for everybody in this season, that is nothing short of a miracle in what schools have done. And frankly, I think they've done at this point about as well as they can do.
Yeah, and Brent, you mentioned the kind of the 11 to 11 ball on Saturday, and Dave mentions the shortfalls in places, and you're both right. Dave is right in that if we're trying to bat, I don't know, not even 1,000, if we're trying to bat 500, then right now probably not looking that good. But if you can accept that. And if we can, I mean, it's whatever our choke point is. If we can accept that, I know we can't accept hospitalization and one fatality. I mean, could shut it down for the rest of the time. I mean, that could be the end of college sports. But if the goal is to bat 1,000, then it's going to look choppy. It's going to look bad, and you're always going to be frustrated because we don't bat 1,000. We didn't bat 1,000 last year.
No. And listen, we're not going to bat 1,000 because of these hurricane situations, frankly.
Because we're human beings, we're not going to bat 1,000.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think at this point, most of these commissioners, to Dave's point, I would be interested, frankly, in if you sent all these commissioners down at the end of the year and you said, the commissioner, with some truth serum, how many games did you honestly thought that we could get through? I would be interested in the answer for that. And I'll be frank with you guys, and where I do agree with Dave is, I do think if we can get anywhere from half the games, I don't know what, 5 games to 8 games, man, I'd take that right now.
If we can do that without people really getting sick or dying, yeah, I agree. And we haven't, and this needs to be pointed out because I think it's important. You know, Memphis has the original report, and they're not giving us the total numbers, but they're saying there were 20 cases. I don't know if they were all positives or if they were contact, and then just to be on the safeguard because of contact tracing, there were 20 more, and most of them were on the defensive side of the football. But they made the point that there was not a serious case there. Mm-hmm. Ed Orgeron said 70, most of his team. He didn't give them names.
Most of the team.
Most of the team has had it. But if there was anybody really sick, don't you think he would have said something? And they would have. He might have said we might have to slow down, but he didn't. He said, "Well, now maybe if we get it all done by football time in 2 weeks, then maybe they'll have the antibodies." I don't think he quite put it that way, but that was the implication. Texas Tech has had 75. We heard that today. 69 recovered. So I don't think they had anybody that was really serious either. So
Dave, you threw a high bar out there at Orgeron because antibodies would have been a 4-syllable word.
Well, that is true. I agree. But my point is none of them are serious. So if we play 5, 7 games or whatever, but nobody gets sick, then you say, okay, the Pac-12's slow approach, or even Kevin Warren, the commissioner of the Big Ten, then his decision was, a fairly sound one. I still think he jumped the gun on it. He could have waited, and that was the big mistake that he made, was that he could have waited no matter which way it turns out. But I'm saying to you, with all these games that are canceled and all these cases that we're hearing today, if you're a chancellor at a Big Ten school, you may be saying, well, maybe we made the decision the right way the first time.
Well, the problem with them is I think two things. One is, look, we're not belittling the cases of people getting sick, being a stretch of the imagination. The problem they had was their absolute incompetence in bungling this by not, to me, not A, being transparent, and B, it's very obvious that they did not involve their people that they should have involved. I mean, they didn't involve the ADs, they didn't involve the coaches, and it came back to bite them in the rear end. And as you guys said a couple of times, all they needed to do, frankly, was to have done what everybody else has done, just about, or at least what the SEC's done, is wait until the end of the month. But in their arrogance, they didn't do that. They thought everyone else would follow them, and that did not happen. So, and I still say they did it for various reasons besides the COVID. They were afraid of liability. They were afraid of the players' union. There's no question politics had something to do with this. So listen, if you're a public relations firm, you could write a book on the mistakes the Big Ten made in this decision.
Brent, an actual football question. Jeff Collins had a big upset win over Mike Norvell on Saturday. It will not at all define Mike Norvell, but it was kind of the first flag in the ground big win for Jeff Collins. He didn't have many last year, but to get that win at an empty Doak Campbell was still a win for Georgia Tech.
There's a couple things here. First of all, Jeff's going to do a good job, and I think has at Georgia Tech. And this is something FSU's got to deal with. But in the fourth quarter, guys, the more physical team was Georgia Tech, and they wanted it more. And FSU people realize that. Now, and I'm telling you, Jeff Sims, that quarterback from Jacksonville for Georgia Tech, he's going to be a star before it's over. He was very impressive. Now, at the same time, I still love Mike Norvell. I think he's going to do fine. That he's going to have to, as some of our FSU beat writers have said, he's going to have to get the Willie Taggart out of this team before they can win, which means particularly that they will get ahead in the first half, and then somehow they have some adversity, and they just lose their mind, and they lose the lead, and they don't quite know what to do with that. DJ Matthews has made it official. He's left the team. He's one of their talented wide receivers. Blackman, the quarterback, is going about as far as he can go. The Purdy kid is going to be the quarterback, I think, and he's coming back from an injury, and he's going to be back sooner than later. And you guys hit this. You told me this would happen, that they would be much better on special teams. They blocked 2 field goals and an extra point. And as dismal as they have been at times, even the offensive line was better. And they were, frankly, one play away from winning that game. Now, I don't see them winning a lot of games this year with the schedule that they've got coming up. But I still think, guys, that in terms of physicality and mindset, that Norvell will turn this team around. It's going to take him a couple of years to do it, just because of where they are at this point. But I actually saw some good things out of both teams in that game.
One last thing, very quickly. Was there blowback that the quarterback that ended up beating Florida State at Georgia Tech, a decommitment from the Seminoles after Mike got the job? Was there discontent with that?
Maybe a little bit, but I think they like what they've got in Purdy, as we mentioned. But of course, and that's a legitimate point. Jeff Sims from Sandalwood in Jacksonville here committed to them, and then I think they were pretty honest with him and thought that at that point they had their quarterback room and it wasn't going to work. So he goes to Georgia Tech, where he's going to carve his own path at this point. But yeah, there was a little bit, Dave, but it wasn't anything near as that they blew another game in the fourth quarter that they should have won.
He's Brent Beard. He writes these notes. He is a broadcaster down in Jacksonville covering the SEC and the ACC. We love chatting with you. We love your notes. Thank you so much, my friend, and we'll do this again next week.
We'll look forward to it, and hopefully we'll have the Big Ten officially by the end of the night.
Yeah. I would love it if it occurred before 6 o'clock. That would make us very happy, Central Time.
Absolutely, brothers. Thank you much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. That is Brent Beard. There is some news that is breaking, and this is coming from Clayton Collier from ABC 24 and the CW30, that Shelby County Schools plan to announce they are shutting down fall sports until further notice. That comes from a source of Clayton Collier's.
It's 100% done.
It is 100%
done?
Yeah,
Dr. Ray tweeted out that they will not – the decision to postpone fall athletics until further notice.
So there will be no high school football this year?
There will be no high school football for Shelby County Schools.
Right. Unless they were to play it in the spring. He could make football a spring sport. He could make all these fall sports spring sports. Now that gets to be troublesome when you have athletes that are multi-sport. If you're going to play, you're going to have to choose between basketball and football, or basketball, football and baseball. That would become the issue then. But apparently,
it's going to be tough to play basketball if you can't play football.
We were just talking with Gabe Kuhn about that as we were going, ending with him at about half hour ago, 40 minutes ago. And, his team is still out there. He's with Germantown High School, and they're a Shelby County school team, and they were still hoping to play. And now the word comes out, and we get it from Joris Ray, the superintendent of schools, we had on this show, about a month ago, 3 weeks ago? They've made that call. They are not going to play football this fall in Shelby County. Wow. That is big. Let us
I just don't see how you play basketball if you hadn't played football indoors. I mean, it just none of it's adding up. It would take some massive turnaround in some health numbers that they're looking at, or vaccine, or almost a miracle drug for it to happen that quickly. Because again, we're talking today, September 15th. Opening night for high school basketball, I would say, would be around November 20th.
I'm going to say that's the ballpark. College basketball has been starting on November the 2nd. I mean, it's the earliest we've ever seen it with a lot of.
Just
real
don't see in
games.
2 months that you're indoors.
I don't either. Well, without people, yeah, but it's not a bubble. I don't know how they will go. I really have no concept. I think they'll try to hold off basketball for as long as they can, and if you did try to play football in the spring, you could do that if you're a high school in just for Shelby County, because obviously all these other schools are still playing. Lausanne's had to cancel a game. We've seen Collierville cancel a couple of games, but for the most part, all of the other schools have been able to play. Christian Brothers played Bartlett last Friday, and everybody was good. Now they've gotten, 4 games in? Christian Brothers? 3 or 4, right? 4?
I want to say 4.
Well, let's see. They I know they beat MUS, lost to Bartlett. They're at least
beat Houston.
Yeah. I think they've played 3 games, 3-1. About to play their 4th this week. It's
played 3. They're 3-1. They played 4 games.
Are they 3-1 or are they 2-1? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Drew thinks they're 3-1. Any way you look at it, it's different for everybody. That's all you can say. There is no rhyme. There is no reason. Joris Ray felt it was safer for the Shelby County schools, and there's 100,000 students in his organization. That it's not safe enough, and he's going to be very, very cautious. And they're not playing. And then Christian Brothers already played 4 games without any incidents at all. Go figure. We got to take a timeout. When we come back, we will talk NFL for the first time today, and we'll be doing that for really pretty much almost the whole next hour. We got Bon Marchand coming your way at 5 o'clock, but Jeff Moore is next.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Time to clean your car? We've got what you need. Our $25 premium car wash bucket deal has everything to keep your ride looking great inside and out. From McGuire's Gold Class Car Wash to interior detailer cleaner. And you can get it fast your way with our free same-day pickup, in-store, or curbside. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World.
The year is 2019, and someone is getting up to use the bathroom at the stadium.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, sorry. Excuse me? Mind if I just squeeze by here?
This has been The Sounds of the Old World.
Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Have you thought about the holidays yet? Our friends at Window Genie not only clean windows, gutters, and concrete, they also hang holiday lights. Window Genie has a Christmas light rental program that includes custom design, installation, maintenance, takedown, and storage for your home or office. The best part, they're offering 15% off if you book by November 1st. Spend more time with friends and family this year and less time on the ladder. Call today for a free estimate, 901-424-4100. Window Genie, 901-424-4100.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM. As well as online around the world at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, tell Google or Alexa to play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. Nice to have you aboard on this Tuesday. Our presenting sponsor for this hour of the program is Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, and Genesis of Olive Branch. I'm actually going to see those folks tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to seeing some new technology they were talking to me about in one of their cars. And so I may be driving a different car after tomorrow. I know this much. Every one that I get, I feel good about, because you get a limited lifetime powertrain warranty on every new vehicle that you get from Homer Skelton Hyundai or Genesis of Olive Branch. And here's the great thing. Every Hyundai car, every Genesis that you get a 3 or 36,000-mile maintenance package along with that powertrain warranty. 2021 models are there. The 2020s, which are so full of great technology, they're all there. Hyundai, by the way, tied for the most number of top safety pick vehicles in 2020. You can still grab some of those, or if you want that new one, they're even better. It is a terrific place. Just get on Lamar. It's Highway 78 in Mississippi, the very first exit. Craft Road, turn left, and you'll see opportunity. It'll be right there for you. They've set the standard for the way car business should be done. That's Homer Skelton, Hyundai, and Genesis of Olive Branch. So I did check, and Drew, you are on the money with this. Christian Brothers 3-1. They beat Houston. They beat FACS. That's the one I couldn't think of. They beat MUS, their rival. That was a heck of a game. Then they lost, upset, by a field goal to Bartlett. That was a tremendous game. They will be And you'll be able to listen to it on Friday. They will be at Pope John Paul, which, by the way, they're 4-0. That'll be an outstanding game. Then they're supposed to play Central. Well, Central is a city school. That's Major Wright School. They're not playing. So all of a sudden, they're going to have a bye week there. I think they're also supposed to play Wooddale at some point this year. So those two games will be off the docket for Christian Brothers, if I read that correctly. In the meantime, we got every game in. Every team in the National Football League played last few nights, whether it started Thursday or you saw them Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Thursday, Sunday, Monday. We had 16 games, 32 teams in the in the battle, and I think the NFL won. It was pretty darn fun to get football back. Jeff Moore, what was your impression of week number 1?
I would have to say I was impressed with the tackling, the crispness. I expected a little more. I guess I expected there to be more mistakes that are the type of things that you see in the early preseason games when the players have not, had some time to really go a full game at game speed yet. And I was just impressed by what appeared to be really good preparation for the most part in most, especially the bigger games that we saw. And certainly there were big plays made, but I thought that I was impressed with the tackling. A few drop passes here and there, but some really big plays, exciting plays. I just thought the caliber of football was a little better than I anticipated.
I thought so too, Jeff, and I thought it was very physical, line of scrimmage, old school football. Yeah,
absolutely. I think about that Rams-Cowboys game, which was a game that, I anticipated would be a physical game, but the Rams looked like they were a little more physical on the line of scrimmage than the Rams, than the Cowboys, was kind of surprising a little bit.
When you said, because it struck me last night, and I heard different commentators on different games over the weekend just saying what you're saying. For the most part, pretty darn good football being played. Is this really an experiment that when we look back and we say, hey, maybe we don't need exhibition games. Maybe at the most we need is 2.
Boy, it's going to make a strong case for less preseason games. The only argument that, most teams like to make as far as having the preseason is being able to look at your borderline players and kind of get them some reps to see who's going to actually make your roster. But, of course, they had to deal with this time around in this new environment without that, and it seemed like they made pretty good decisions as far as that goes. So I think there's a strong case for less preseason games, and certainly the players, I think, would vote for less.
Jeff, 42 rushes for the New England Patriots. It was ground chuck led by Cam Newton. I don't mean it as a shot, but it's a very basic offense, to say the least, that he's running. Can that last over the test of time with him taking that many hits? But he delivered a lot of hits also.
No, I don't think there's any way that Cam can last the season carrying the ball as much as he did in that game. And hopefully they'll modify the amount of rushes they have for him as they go from week to week as far as opponents go. But no quarterback, I think, can last the season carrying the ball that much week in and week out. It's been proven that that's not a good formula for keeping your quarterback on the field.
We talked a little earlier about this, but there are so many Titans fans in our listening audience, and there's a kid that we know well and like so much in Stephen Gostkowski, and Gotti was just absolutely off last night. I don't know if that was the surgery or not playing for a while, and he's, of course, played 14 years and, just about a Hall of Fame career with the New England Patriots, and then almost lost the game for them last night. Lost missed 3 field goals and an extra point. That's 10 points he left on the field and did not put on the board. Do kickers just sometimes lose it, or are we saying that he's maybe not over his injuries? What was your take on Gotti?
Yeah, I think just a bad outing. He's definitely established himself as one of the premier kickers of our generation. So it's not unusual when a kicker is off for it to kind of get in his head and he get off again, and then it's a little bit more of a challenge mentally than physically. But I believe very strongly he'll get that corrected and play better going forward. It could be a function of just having gone through the surgery and having to make that adjustment. And then, of course, not being in a live game, that mental preparation for a kicker is very important as well.
How long before Fitzmagic acquiesces to Tua, or do they let Tua stand over there and watch Fitzmagic all year? Miami was very competitive Sunday, and I don't think it's to go for a playoff year even for the Dolphins. But is Tua better off watching, or does he need to be out there playing?
Man, I think there's no substitute for playing. That being said, if you can keep a guy on the sidelines and let him learn, at least a few games, sometimes that's better, especially with the speed of the game being what it is. Preseason would have definitely been ideal for a player like Tua. So they'll just have to kind of gauge how he adjusts, how he does in practice. But the sooner they can get him out there, the better. He's got to take his lumps. He's got to learn the speed of the game, and it's hard to really do that on the sideline.
Brett mentioned all those runs by Cam Newton with the New England Patriots, but we've seen so many offenses run so much more. I don't know if that was because of no exhibition football, but let's take the Rams with their win over the Cowboys and the controversy we'll have to get into on the pass interference call in that game, which certainly had an influence on how the game was concluded. But the Rams, a team we know for throwing the football, did a lot of running. Are we seeing more running because of no exhibition games?
I think in the case of the Rams, I would surmise that what they concluded is that they just needed to be a tougher, more physical team. The last couple of years, they've kind of gotten more a reputation for being more of a finesse team, and their offensive line was more not aggressive and not noted for just straight ahead football, and they needed to be tougher. I was impressed by the way that they ran the football. I don't know that that's necessarily something that's a function of no preseason as much as teams just realizing that they want to be more physical running the football, because that just allows them to be able to do more things with play action. And I think really opens up their passing game when they're a lot more physical. And we learned last year that being able to run the ball effectively could pay big dividends. The Titans kind of established that moniker last year.
Mm-hmm. They did. And another team that ran it a lot, Washington, and their division win over the Eagles, that the Eagles were favored. A lot of people picking them to win the game. Dwayne Haskins, he gets that win. He wasn't spectacular, but he was pretty steady. Didn't turn the ball over. That's one of the big keys. They rushed it. They rushed it 36 times. That's John Riggins stuff.
Yeah, and of course, with a young quarterback, the best one of the best friends you can have for him is a effective running game. But the big thing for a young quarterback like him is just being able to play 4 quarters and not turn the ball over and not make any big mental mistakes. They're not asking him to do a lot yet. But it was impressive the way they came back and won the football game the way they did against the Eagles.
Back to that Dallas Ram game for one more minute. What was your view on the pass interference at the end of the game, which absolutely helped to decide the game?
Yeah, I think anytime the receiver extends his arm, whether it gives him a big advantage or not, if his arm is extended, I think you're going to see that flag come out most of the time. You got to be able to physically kind of be able to, drop an elbow or get some distance without extending your arm, because referees can easily see that. And regardless of how much of an advantage that gives you, it appears to give you a big advantage when you can, extend your arm like that. So had that not taken place, if it was just a little pushing and shoving without that obvious extension, it may have gone a different way. But I was not surprised with the call.
And there were still some games that were high-powered and a lot of passing. And Aaron Rodgers, he goes on the road. Now, this year going on the road, it's kind of in italics because it's not – I mean, he didn't go into downtown Minneapolis to a crazy place like he would have normally faced. I think it's for a team like the Packers, for a team like – now, Washington, they were at home, though. But for the Packers to get a road win in week one, it almost counts double in these muted times. But they put up 43 points, had a safety, and a lot of Aaron Rodgers flinging it around.
Yeah, he looked very comfortable. His receivers did a good job of holding on to the ball and getting open. And well, it was vintage Aaron Rodgers. And against a pretty good, a respectable at least Minnesota defense. And so, yeah, I mean, that was a very impressive performance by Green Bay. And, yeah, I mean, they've got to be excited if they can put up that kind of production. It's really going to help a team that's really kind of trying to learn how to get better on defense. Their defense is still kind of an Achilles heel to some extent. They, even with how great Aaron performed, they give up 34 points to Minnesota in that game. So they've got to get better defensively, but that was a super outing for Aaron Rodgers in that game.
Yeah, I don't know how we judge road and home games this year at all. I really don't. And
yeah.
You don't.
Maybe we'll get to figure that out as the season unwinds, but when you were complaining and every expert on this draft was going, what is Green Bay doing getting this quarterback when they need weapons to help Aaron Rodgers? And then he goes out to the team most people think will win that division. Some people think is the second or third best team in the NFC. And you put 34 or 43 on Minnesota. That's pretty impressive. Almost as impressive as Russell Wilson was in Atlanta. What was he, 33 of 35 or something like that?
Yeah, 31 of 35.
And Jeff, no team comes west to east better than Seattle. Pete Carroll's really got that down.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Seattle's going to be very interesting this year because unlike Green Bay, Seattle has put some really good weapons around Russell Wilson on the offensive side of the ball. They got a really good tight end. Wide receivers are very good, and he's a special player in and of itself. So, man, this team is going to be formidable in that NFC West. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But he's got a lot of weapons, and then of course, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have all of those weapons, but with the receivers he has, they're Pro Bowl type guys. So both of those quarterbacks were impressive, but Seattle was definitely formidable in their game.
Last thing for Jeff Moore, former Vol, former Los Angeles Ram, and that has to do with the two older statesmen, Breeze, Brady. First time ever two quarterbacks over the age of 40 started an NFL football game against one another. How about that? That is amazing.
I didn't know that.
What are your thoughts about the way that worked? Obviously, Brady had a great first series and then didn't look so good through two interceptions, and Breeze comes out ahead.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing there is New Orleans kind of played and did what I expected them to do because of the continuity in that team. They've just been together so long, and Breeze doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I do expect that as Brady plays more and more with his teammates, they're going to get better. That's just going to be a tough division for them to get any headway. But I was not surprised by Breeze's performance. A little surprised with the pick six decision with Brady, but again, I think they'll get that fixed. And he's going to be a competitor. He's going to play hard, play determined throughout the year, but I think they're just in a tough division going forward.
Jeff, thank you so much. I'm glad we've got football. We'll be talking about this now for the next 16 weeks.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Thank you very much. That
Take
is
care, guys.
Our friend Jeff Moore on the NFL. He's brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, the checks, the tune-ups. And right now he's got this deal. He'll give you a tune-up and he'll check your heating system. They call it the safety check, and you get all of that for only $69. They remove years of dirt, grime, and leaves from your outside conditioning unit. Then they come inside. They do the 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up, and now they're going to check for your heating system so it's ready for the winter, which includes a carbon monoxide test. And they do all of that again for only $69. They're famous for this, and if you were to call really quick for the Super Tune-Up and the free heating system safety check, you can get it for $57 if you do it this week. All you got to do is call 384-3511, 384-3511, Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. We've got to make some picks. This will be the first of the SEC picks coming your way this year. We will pick the Vanderbilt Commodores. This really wasn't that hard. We will pick Vandy when we come back.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1. Don't miss us.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. The East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
You have to be up in 5 hours, 2 hours, 6 minutes. And when you hear, you realize that you haven't slept a wink. That's why there's ZzzQuil Pure Z's, a drug-free blend of botanicals with an optimal dose of melatonin, so you can fall asleep naturally with no next-day grogginess. It's available in both liquid and gummies, tastes great, and is non-habit forming. Pick up ZzzQuil Pure Z's from the sleep experts at Vicks ZzzQuil. ZzzQuil Pure Z's, naturally superior sleep. Available at retailers near you.
It is time for the final clearance sale at James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. Listen to this, 70 to 80% off on all spring and summer merchandise. You heard me, James Davis, 70 to 80% off on all spring and summer merchandise. Unreal selection of sports coats and sports shirts for your next Zoom call. Limited selection of shorts and knits, but there are some. If you get there, you'll get 70 to 80% off. Here's some of the brands you can save on during this incredible sale. Peter Millar, Sandstrom, Mac 5 Pocket. I'm talking 70 to 80% off while it lasts. The only place in Memphis that you can find the Stant custom shirt and pants system. Only at James Davis, this exclusive store for this unique custom-fitting apparel where shirts start as low as $98, pants at $168. Go see it to believe it. The clearance sale at James Davis.
Divorce can be complicated, even more so if there are children involved. If you're a father and want to protect your rights, consider Cordell & Cordell. As a partner men can count on, they have helped men with matters like these for 30 years. Visit CordellCordell.com to learn more.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Memphis attorneys. Online at CordellCordell.com. Office in Memphis, 6000 Poplar Avenue, Suite 225, Memphis, Tennessee, 38119.
Let's go! Go!
standing tall, climbing, laughing, hide and seeking, giving our all.
Our kids' days are filled with adventure, and Go-Go Squeeze is there for every run, jump, step of the way. Made from wholesome ingredients like 100% fruit and veggies, real yogurt, and no artificial anything in Go Anywhere pouches, so our kids can keep going wherever their adventures take them. Go-Go Squeeze. You make the memories, we'll make the snacks. Find us in the applesauce aisle.
Let's go.
I'm here with outstanding team from Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway. They're online at lexusofmemphis.com. Gary, tell everyone how they can experience the Lexus of Memphis satisfaction.
Come in and be a part of our family at Lexus of Memphis. Experience the customer service that we provide to each guest like a member of our own family. If you're on the side of the road and you need us, we're there. If you need help with anything with your car, technology, Bluetooth, the app suite, we have dedicated team to help you with this in your journey with your Lexus.
That's how they do it at Lexus of Memphis.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in on a crazy day. Once again, 901 FC soccer coach got fired, and the big news just coming out from the superintendent of schools, Dr. Joris Ray. He has decided that came out with the statement that we are not playing fall sports. There will be no Shelby County high school football this year. That comes from the superintendent of school. Okay, we are making our picks, so we know SEC football is going on, and the very first one we are going to attempt to try to figure out would be the Vanderbilt Commodores, and I would suspect most of us found this one pretty easy.
Yeah, it is. And you asked earlier, can anybody go 10-0? Will there be winless teams? And I have Vanderbilt winless.
I do not.
0-10.
I have them winning one game, and I figured it would be a home game, and it came down to two teams for me.
Now remember, they're going to have 0 fans at home, not partial, not a percentage.
I know.
0.
I know.
That's not much different from last year.
Oh, come on.
Well, it's a little bit of a difference because the road fans can't be there, and Vanderbilt administration, they are even insinuating 0 anybody there. No radio, no TV, no nothing.
What? They're saying they would not allow ESPN to televise their games? That would go against the league rules. And
you can do it from a studio.
Huh. No, you could.
What about the cameraman? Somebody's going to have to be there to operate a camera.
Right.
That would be that. Yeah, and it's a shame for Vanderbilt because James Franklin, and now when he left, there were things going on that the Vanderbilt administration and the conduct, the sexual incident was just repulsive to everyone, but to the Vanderbilt administration, they almost went the other direction. Look, you can have a happy medium in a football sports world. You don't have to maybe have all that was going on with that, but you don't have to just kind of quit like Vanderbilt has, and that's why I have them 0-10. What's your one home win? Because home won't matter a lot.
Right. I have them winning against South Carolina. It came down to one of two schools. I wasn't sure if they would beat Ole Miss or if they would beat South Carolina. South Carolina's earlier. They'll be healthier because they're not as deep as anybody else. So for the proximity of the game to now, the earliness as part of it, I think they'll beat South Carolina. They're gonna win a game.
And y'all make me seem like I'm a Vanderbilt homer here. I've got 2 wins on the schedule, and I think it just comes down to my basic love for Derek Mason. I really do love that guy. I'd run through a brick wall for him. Unfortunately, he can't get enough people to run through a brick wall for him to win a game.
He can't get his administration to remember they're in the SEC.
No, he can't. I do have the win against South Carolina at home. I teetered on Ole Miss, but I gave Ole Miss the win there. I've got back-to-back wins, so I got South Carolina and then at Missouri.
Okay.
South Carolina at Missouri for Drew, and Dave with the South Carolina win. and I've got Vandy winless.
And we should point out, when there is no TV, Drew is right. That means the announcers are doing it remotely. But there is a production truck.
Somebody's got to be there.
With all the replay and everything else is in the parking lot there. The cameramen are there. The sound technicians are there. Everybody's there except the announcers. And you know what? Vandy could do the same thing from their radio studio. And I'm sure that is what they would attempt.
So you cut down on 4 people?
It's crazy. I agree. I don't understand. That's overkill to me, but that's Vanderbilt's decision. Look, the Titans aren't having anybody either. You know, that's their health department in Nashville. That is the same way. And let's again, they haven't played high school football in Nashville Metro yet, and now we know because Joris Ray told us just about 15, 20 minutes ago. No high school football this year, in the fall at least, for Shelby County Schools for the foreseeable future, I believe, is how Dr. Ray worded it. That's 2 hours in the books. When we come back, fresh from New York City, fresh from watching the Giants and his Steelers, from college to pro.com, the giant of a man, that's Beau Marchant, and he will be next.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between, in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Let's go with Go-Go Squeeze. We're going, growing, standing tall, climbing, laughing, hide and seeking, giving our all.
Our kids' days are filled with adventure, and Go-Go Squeeze is there for every run, jump, step of the way. Made from wholesome ingredients like 100% fruit and veggies, real yogurt, and no artificial anything in Go Anywhere pouches, so our kids can keep going wherever their adventures take them. Go-Go Squeeze. You make the memories, we'll make the snacks. Find us in the applesauce aisle.
Let's go.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Limb Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC accredited facility and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Limb Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselemonbrace.com.
Dedicated our life to yours. Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour on this Tuesday afternoon. We've talked a lot of NFL already. We talked more with Bo Marchant, who was in New York City last night, in New Jersey at the MetLife Stadium for Giants and Steelers. New-look Giants against a ferocious Steeler defense. I don't know if it's the Steel Curtain, but they're pretty good. We talked to him after I tell you about the title sponsor of this hour, and that's DeSoto Auto Sales down at 5704 Goodman Road. Visit their website, DeSotoAutoSales.com, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for the town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. Very proud to serve DeSoto County, and you can check out all the referrals at DeSotoAutoSales.com, all the happy referrals, and you also can look at all the beautiful inventory of the beautiful cars that they have on that lot. Every car on the lot, test driven, checked out bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. You're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid back, down home environment, no high pressure sales. But they do care about your time at DeSoto Auto Sales, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You walk in within 45 minutes, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in about 45 minutes, in time to do it right now and be home by 6 o'clock, or in time to do it over your busy lunch hour. They know we're living in a world today that time matters at DeSoto Auto Sales, and that's why they want to keep it simple for you, the customer. DeSotoAutoSales.com at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
Lots of news today. Shelby County School Superintendent Dr. George Ray announced just a little bit ago he is postponing all fall sports in the district until further notice. That means all the Shelby County schools, the City League, places like Germantown, they are not going to have football this fall. Many of them have been working out for weeks and weeks and weeks waiting. We know it's not going to happen now, while other schools like MUS, like Christian Brothers on this radio station, have already played 4 games. They will play their 5th game tonight at 7 o'clock on the road against Pope John Paul, and they will have that game right here for you, but it has worked for them. It worked for sure yesterday and the day before and last Thursday for the National Football League. Our friend from collegetopro.com, Bo Marchant, was at the Meadowlands. He was at the Giants and the Steelers. So I want to start with, because you've sort of told us the process going into this whole thing. What was it like for you covering this game as opposed to all the other hundreds of games that you've covered in the past?
Well, first of all, there's the parking, I think, is the first thing. I mean, pulling up the MetLife Stadium last night I think, kickoff, I got there about 5 o'clock, 2 hours pregame. Driving into the parking lot, basically, it's empty. Besides, media or anyone, security working the stadium, it's an empty stadium. It's a stadium that I don't know what the capacity is in terms of parking, but basically it was like a desolate, desert. I think that's the thing that strikes you the most, because there should be a packed tailgating. There should be people outside. You should see fans. It should take me an astonishing long amount of time to get to my parking spot, but that wasn't the case. So, I think that's the first thing that kind of strikes you. And you guys know from being in the press box, right now there's no paper. Everything's sent via email. There's nothing in your hand. They will give you a flip card. But other than that, you're not getting your halftime stat paper. They're not passing those out. Everything's via, an email. So, little things like that, the nuances. But, I know the Steelers staff through this offseason have done a great job. And last night, kudos again to the Giants and the Steelers, both PR staffs. They did everything. Everything was on cue. They got everything to us as quickly as possible. So, but I think parking I think that's the biggest thing, and just the social distancing. I don't know what Giant Stadium. I don't know what they're going to do in the winter. The cafeteria, if you will, or the media center where you would normally eat, that's shut and locked out. So they had us eating outside on near a concession stand. I don't know how that's going to be when football starts to get cold, if they're going to have, everybody outside in December eating box lunches. So that's another thing I think that might be a little strange moving forward.
If you had wanted to, could you have left? Could you leave the press box and go just sit out in the massive open seats and cover and watch the game, or were you confined to the press box area?
They allowed us to sit in section 249B, and it was right outside the press box doors into the stadium access. So you were allowed. I didn't. I mean, I had a beautiful breeze coming through. I was right at the end, so I had a nice breeze coming through already. So I kind of felt like I was outside, and it got chilly last night. I'm warm-blooded, so I felt comfortable. But I know a lot of people. I know an older security gentleman was standing next to me at the end, and he was complaining. He wasn't too happy about the cold and the wind coming through. But nonetheless, they gave you that opportunity.
He'll freeze to death in December.
Yeah, it is. It's a little different, but there is a quietness. Without the fans there, it's bizarre. The photographers are in the stands; they're not on the field. Those are some of the things that you're taken back by, just scanning the rows and I don't know, just say section 112. 8 rows up, you see this guy with a giant lens shooting down on the field. He's accustomed to being on the field, and we've seen it. I think when the Ravens, I believe it was the Ravens that got a turnover over the weekend. They all went to pose in the end zone or something, or for the turnover. But they kind of had to look to the stands to find the photographers because there's nobody in the end zone shooting to them. Though.
Right.
But it's quiet. It's eerily quiet, and as much as it's great having the sport back. I mean, being there live, you do. There is a lost sense of, that pulse, that energy, that, fans and the whole charisma, everything works as one, and that is missing.
Well, what was missing in the beginning was Big Ben in rhythm, and then once he found it, and I think he found it on that 2-minute drill at the end of the first half, he became Big Ben. He became the Hall of Fame quarterback he'll probably end up being.
Yeah, it was a slow down. I know the one guy sitting next to me goes, "Did the Steelers bus show up yet?" Because they looked so bad early offensively. He did that drive. It was a 78-yard drive, and I went back and looked. That was their longest drive. Even last year, they didn't have a 78-yard scoring drive. I think when Ben was playing. So for him, and then they had another 62, and then they had a 74. So they're a long sustained drive. And you're right, he started to find that rhythm. Tomlin hit on it post game last night. He thought the same thing. I was writing about it. That's what I wrote the story. When did Ben Roethlisberger get his groove back? And I thought, it was just evident. Anyone watching the game, you could see, hey, this guy's finally found it. Now he's getting hot. And it was just a rhythm, a comfort, and he was finding those targets. And when you think of Roethlisberger, last season he played 6 quarters, 6 of those quarters with basically, regardless of what he is and, off the field and his antics, the most productive, prolific receiver of the last decade in Antonio Brown. He was missing. So he had 6 quarters trying to find himself there. He gets hurt. He comes back. There's a lot of new faces, and, you can practice with these guys, but until it's game action, Deontay Johnson was a rookie last year. He played, 6 quarters with them in live action. Chase Claypool, the second-round pick out of Notre Dame. That's his first action. They brought in Eric Ebron on the tight end. So those are all new faces. So I think the comfortability level and just the trust and the nuances of finding when these guys are going to break and how they're going to react against live competition was something to figure out. But fortunately, he did look good. 3 touchdown passes, and the Steelers, the defense was ferocious. That's still going to be the backbone of this team. Zach Banner, ACL, he'll be out for the year, so that's an offensive line week 1. So that's never a good thing for any team in the National Football League. But at the end of the day, I think they're excited. A good win for them because, they've struggled against teams that they should beat. They covered the spread. They won by 10. I think the line was 6. But oftentimes, those are the nail-biters the Steelers get themselves into.
3 rookie head coaches making their NFL debuts this weekend. Judge in New York, you saw last night. Stefanski in Cleveland and Rule in Carolina. They all look like they missed a lot of work and a lot of preseason and a lot of OTAs. That's a tough way to get your rookie coaching baptism.
It is. The Panthers I thought really played tough. From what I was able to pick up, what they did. The Browns looked really bad. Just a bad first day of football for the Cleveland Browns. There's not much to say other than that the Ravens really put it on them, and they proved by why they're one of the best, if not the best team in the National Football League. And the Giants did not play that bad last night. They had their moments. That 19-yard drive that Daniel Jones and a bad play that I'm sure he regrets throwing. He should have never threw that ball off his back foot. Just not a good move. But at the end of the day, they were in the game. They weren't getting blown out. And I think, Joe Judge, when you think about it, he could say, hey, I work for Saban. I work for Belichick. What I'm going to preach to you guys, I think there's some validity there that you guys can trust it. So, I think the Giants, they're not going to be some title contender this year, but I think they're on the right track. And I think all three of those head coaches are going to have better days than what we saw over the weekend. I think Cleveland's going to be a much better team. And I think the Panthers, from what I saw Sunday, granted it's just 1 week, but I think they're going to be a much more competitive team. Probably not going to win a lot of games, but they're going to make it a tough out for everybody that has to play them.
I'm with you. I thought the Giants were competitive, at least until that interception. And that was a darn good defensive play, too, because I think he got the guy, Jones's arm.
Sure was.
He got it. As he was throwing the ball.
Son of Ironhead made a play.
And Nat swung it. He sure did. But here's
he can go.
My question. You're talking about those no camps, and it's tough on those three rookie coaches. But for the most part, I thought we saw much better football than I had anticipated without having any kind of consistent camp and any exhibition games. And Brett and I talked about this a little earlier, but I'd love your take on it. I think the case has been made. We don't need 4 exhibition games. I don't think we need more than 2 exhibition games. What do you think will come from all of this?
Well, I think we'll still have preseason. Maybe they could get it down to 2. I think that would be the bare minimum. I think they'll do 3, then get to 2. I still think I think these teams still need. You missed that evaluation part. I know I saw a post by Wayne Corbett saying if it wasn't for preseason football, he would have never made the team. And I think that's the case for a lot of guys. I mean, even Antonio Brown. I mean, he had a fantastic preseason. I don't know what the Steelers were thinking internally back when they drafted. I think it was 2010 or whatever when they selected him. But at the end of the day, this guy was making big plays, during the preseason. So, me, I'm an advocate for preseason football. I think it's a must to see these guys in action against other teams, and it breaks my heart knowing that there's a lot of free agents out there that might have had a better opportunity to make the roster, but circumstances of no pro days and team workouts and OTAs and rookie camps, all those things kind of devalued their ability to make these rosters. So I'm all about guys having the best opportunity, and I think preseason football allows a lot of the guys that we may not know would have ever known of if it wasn't for preseason football. But I do agree the football has been, I thought, way above than what we expected. I thought, all the games that I watched over the weekend and, last night when I got back to my hotel room last night, I was finishing up some things and I was, watching the Titans and the Broncos. I was, I thought that was fantastic, tight game, and I think you expect that from both teams. That's the way the Titans like to play. They want to slow it down and they just want to slug it out, and they were able to do that.
Boy, they do. They just want to mash you, and they make no pretense about it. A whole lot of Derrick Henry, and get you some of that. How about no off season and no real tackling drills? And you got to go out there and get in front of that on opening night. We're talking the National Football League with Bo Marchand, and Bo, I could have sworn. I know it was a long off season, and a lot has happened. We've all been through a lot, and our minds have been everywhere. I could have sworn they fired Jason Garrett in Dallas. Who was that going for it on 4th down in Los Angeles on Sunday? That couldn't have been a guy that's won a Super Bowl, was it?
Garrett, well, we talking about Jason Garrett, right?
Well, he got fired in Dallas. Mike McCarthy made a move that Jason Garrett could envy.
Yeah. I was thinking just last night because they kept showing Garrett so much, and when you said that. Yeah, McCarthy. I heard that McCarthy's more. He's going to go into this season more analytically, not so much the old school style of football. So I don't know if analytics played a part in his decision to do that. Hindsight now, 2020, looking back, it's not the greatest move. I mean, they could have. they could have kicked the field goal, still stopped them, got the ball back. I mean, if you look at it, but maybe that was an analytics call. It's not an old school move that a lot of coaches would have done. I think most coaches would have, took the 3. You're on the road. But, that game, I mean, I don't like the call at the end against Michael Gallup. I did not like that call. I thought it was, unfair to him. But at the end of the day, the Cowboys, I thought they got dominated up front, both offensively and defensively. I thought the lines, Malcolm Brown and that line was just punishing the defensive front from the Cowboys. And then on the flip side, I mean, Dak Prescott had a little time to throw. I mean, he got few deep balls, out. I mean, he was just under pressure and duress the entire night. And that front, I mean, absent of just Aaron Donald, I mean, Brockers, those guys were bringing it. They were really putting a lot of pressure on him. So I just think the Rams overall, I just thought they were a more physical, dominating team. And if, that's football. I mean, when you cut it nut and dry, I mean, that is it. It has to be more physical than the opponent. And I just thought the Rams out physical, were just a more physical, ball club Sunday night. But again, bad call by McCarthy. He'll learn. I don't know if that was analytics, but I knew that he was going to take this new coaching approach and use analytics a little bit more. Maybe he'll temper back from that, but I knew that was one of the approaches he was taking entering this Cowboys job.
Wasn't there an earlier 4th down where he didn't go for it? It seemed to me, as I was watching the game, I would have swapped those 2 attempts.
I would have too, Dave, and that's
the way
not
he
guessing. At the time, I thought that. And look, Mike McCarthy, I don't know what the interview process was like, but he got hired for his old school chops. I don't know if Jerry Jones hired him over a newfangled love of analytics.
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those things. I mean, you got to go with it. I mean, times are changing. This isn't, our old school football where, I mean, just watching football. The thing that I was even, I'm glad you actually brought that up because watching the game this week, last night, Thursday, I mean, it just seems like 4th down. I mean, what? 4th down? Okay. I mean, it's almost like they're just phasing out punters' existence in the league. I mean, don't worry about safety and punting the ball and worry about that. The coaches just like going for it now, and it just seems. I mean, that's the thing I took most, and I'm glad you brought it up because it really was one of the things as I was watching the games. It's just like, before. I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, to go for it on 4th down, I mean, it had to be, it was a catastrophic end if you didn't continue to play. But teams do it now, and it's nonchalant. I mean. Look at the Browns, the fake punt on their own 30. I mean, even that's a crazy call. But coaches have a different mindset now. They'll gamble more. They're more risky. They're able to do things that generations of coaches before would not do. I think it's just a sign of things to come. Where what, if we make a mistake, we'll have to make up for it and try to get the ball back and do something else. But again, that was a bad call from McCarthy. And again, the Cowboys. One thing about Dallas that I just want to find somebody, and I know they have to have somebody on that team, but just when that offense comes off the field, I mean, I would like to see Dak Prescott just get in the grill of an Amari Cooper on that drop pass. I mean, Peyton would have done it. Marino would have done it. The great ones get in their guys' face, and, they let them know, hey, wake up. This is an important game. We need to get to it. And when they come off the field, it just seems like I know they're frustrated. They're professionals, but just viewing it, I just want to see that guy on the Cowboys that stands up and say, listen, we're not going to take this anymore. And I get that sense from them that it's not that they don't care, but there's just no one in there that kind of really light that fire and they say, hey, you know what? I demand this from you. I mean, would Brady accept that? Would Drew Brees expect that? Even Patrick Mahomes? Probably not, but it just seems like that goes on in Dallas and they just kind of continually lose games that you think they should win.
Last thing, Bo Marchand, collegetopro.com. Who was the luckiest football team this past weekend?
I would say Washington or the Bears.
There we go. How about, now I'll tell you what wasn't lucky, though. And we really haven't talked that much about this. How about the Mitchell Trubisky pass to Anthony Miller that ends up being the game winner? Now,
it was a great throw.
It
was a money throw.
You got to admit that ball was a beautifully thrown ball, and Miller lays out, and he makes a heck of a catch.
His fourth quarter was the best Mitchell Trubisky in his NFL life. He was
you guys know I'm still on. I'm not against Mitchell Trubisky. I think this guy gets a bad rap. I'm
not either. I'm against Mitchell.
Dave,
no,
Dave,
don't tell me that, Brett.
His evil twin brother, Mitch Mitchell, who I oppose.
Yeah, no, I loved it. Like I said, you know me. I think he gets a bad rap. And Dave, when they came back, I saw that throw. I was like, Dave has to be so happy. And I actually thought we might start the show off because I was getting ready. I'm like, we all know about Tom Terrific, but we know about Magnificent Mitchell. So
Magnificent Mitchell. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Chris, hey, let's copyright that and make T-shirts.
There you go.
Let's do it.
He's got to do it 2 weeks in a row. Let's see if that happens because I'm not convinced. And Washington, they've changed their tune. Now they got Antonio Gibson from the University of Memphis. They got some. No, Haskins is a guy who can play okay. Maybe.
He did. I one game. You know me. That I guess on the opposite side, Dwayne Haskins is a guy that's really going to have to prove it to me. And I heard that he gave a very good pep talk during halftime, which I thought great leadership. And that's talking about maybe somebody should have done that for the Cowboys. And they came out fighting, and a big thing, and again a little bit goes back to when you surrender such a lead, there's a lot of miscues on the Eagles side, and we could talk about Wentz holding on to the ball, 8 sacks. I mean, they did a lot of things wrong. I mean, passing the ball when they should have probably tried to run the clock down a little bit more, and they refused to do those things. So they did a lot of things, and that goes in. You're not going to make that type of comeback. But the one thing I will say is Washington, that when they had that 27-17 lead, they were pulling away. They probably could have put more points. I mean, it was definitely trending in their direction. So I think another quarter might have even got worse. But by then, the Eagles were probably a broken football team, knowing what the team that they probably thought they were going to beat, a team they should have beat, and then they end up looking at the scoreboard and they're down by 10. That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with in week 1.
We got week 2 right around the corner. It'll start on Thursday. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it, and we shall chat with you next Tuesday.
Hey, real quick. Now, if you could sell shirts called Maddening Mitchell if things come to fruition this Sunday.
No, I like Magnificent Mitchell much better.
Thank you,
Have a great week, guys.
And the great part, Bo, the great part is Magnificent Mitchell makes Brett mad.
No, I like Mitch Trubisky. It's Mitch Mitchell, his evil twin brother. I don't like.
No, we hope to not see him anymore. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Bo.
Bo Marchant on the NFL. Brought to you in part.
I've always been a big Mitch Trubisky fan.
Oh, my gosh. I have never seen a guy. True.
It's Mitch Mitchell
True.
I don't like.
Help
Man, when
me
that
here.
guy comes in, whoo.
True.
What?
Where does Brett stand on Mitch Trubisky?
He just told you he likes Mitch Trubisky. He doesn't like Mitch Mitchell. We
Mitch
saw
Mitchell
Mitch
comes
Mitchell
in,
for 3/4 of the game Sunday.
And
We
they
saw
pulled
Mitch
him,
Trubisky
which was smart.
in the 4th.
Okay. The Mitch Trubisky that threw for 3 touchdowns was pretty good. And that last
We like
strike,
that guy.
Ooh, that last strike was. And how about Miller? Seriously. Anthony Miller.
And throw to him more.
They
Seriously.
need to.
All joking aside, Trubisky looked great in the 4th quarter. But last year, it's like they go, oh, yeah, we got Anthony Miller. And then about 3 weeks, they forget about him.
I don't understand that either. I'm not sure what that's all about. Robinson is clearly.
Their O-line was better, too, Sunday. Their O-line, I don't know
in the 4th quarter was. I'll tell you, their defense was terrible to begin with. But after they give those 23 points, they shut them down. And they're missing some,
You know who they play this week? The Bears can start 2-0. G-Men.
Yeah. I just don't know. I don't know what team will show up. I don't know, as you would say, I don't know which Mitch will show up. Bears have a hard
it's at
schedule.
home. It's
Does
at
that
Soldier
matter?
Field.
Does that matter? Seriously. We've just been talking
Can't hurt,
about that.
but does it really matter? Your question is, does it matter? And it probably doesn't, but it can't hurt.
No, I'll tell you what. It's a fun schedule to begin with. Thursday is the Browns and the Bengals. The Browns have to win, but it's fun to kind of watch Joe Burrow, and
against Baker
and the G-men. I'll tell you, you don't tend to worry about their offense. Isn't that what we've seen so far? I mean,
Saquon Barkley's got to run better.
Boy,
but he
was
ran against
awful.
a stout defense last night. And
He
the
did.
Giants' offensive line's been, they drafted Barkley, they drafted Evan Ingram, they drafted Shepard from Oklahoma, trying to put parts around Eli. Then they go with Daniel Jones. They're trying to put get him an offensive line, get him something in front of him.
Going into the 3rd quarter, Saquon Barkley had negative yardage. Negative. The Bears defense will do that too. I know you you'll be picking the opposite way. We shall see in the long run there. In the meantime, I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken's a guy who understands what building is all about, or renovation with innovation. That's what I like to call putting all these new modern, just incredible things into your home, from making your wall a speaker with the wires inside to California closets to the big islands in the kitchen and all the new appliances that are so great, and the granite that you put in for slabs. They're just amazing, and he's got it all down, and he and his dad have done it for over 50 years. It's really fun to watch Ken Garland Jr. work, and it's fun to talk to him because he sees little details and big picture all at the same time. If you're interested in that renovation, if you're interested in the dream home, maybe you've got some land you're not sure what to do with. Ken knows. Call him, 751-1632. First thing you do, go to kengarland.com. See what I'm talking about. Then call and see just exactly what the possibilities may be. And if you're looking for a new development, Ken's involved with a great place called Oleilon. It's a gated community by Boyle. It's on Messick Road, just east of Kirby, all the way to McVeigh. 4-bedroom homes starting at $875. They're gorgeous. Go talk to Ken, 751-1632. That's Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. The original beat writer of the Memphis Grizzlies. That would be the one and only Ron Tillery. We'll talk NBA with him in just a minute.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
Hey, Tiger fans, this is John Stacy of the Wolf Chase Honda Blue and Gray Show. You can hear Drew Barrett and I talk Tigers with Tigers every Sunday night at 5 right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7. You never know which Tigers great we'll have in the studio with us either. We'll get them to call in, too. We are your go-to show for Memphis Tigers football. That's the Wolf Chase Honda Blue and Gray Show right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Frontier Western Store is open and ready to serve you for all your needs in boots, apparel, pet food, and more. Frontier is proud to be a local leader here in the Mid-South when it comes to boots. Stop by the store today for an incredible selection of name brand work and dress boots. Come browse aisles and aisles of top quality boots at everyday low prices in our world famous boot showroom. Dan Post, Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, Georgia, Ariat, and many more. There are so many styles, colors, and fits available, you might need a hand picking out your favorites. Luckily, Frontier's knowledgeable sales staff will cheerfully assist you with any questions you have and ensure the proper fit of your new boots. Frontier also has an amazing selection of jeans and shirts by Wrangler, Ariat, and Carhartt, as well as a fully stocked women's boutique department with thousands of tops and dresses at unbelievable prices. New arrivals often. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Gilman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Hi, this is Rob Brown. Join Pete Cordelli and me for Sidelines, Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. on Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1 FM. We'll cover the Memphis Tigers, the SEC, recruiting. Hey, if they keep score, we're covering it. Check us out on the website at sports56whbq.com and sidelines.live. Sidelines is brought to you by Duncan Williams Asset Management. Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. Get up and give us a call.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in, cruising through our Tuesday, noteworthy day. Shelby County Schools will not have high school football this fall. That is done for sure. Dr. Ray, Superintendent of Schools, about a half hour, 45 minutes ago, made that decision until further notice. Maybe they'll have the opportunity to play in the spring. We shall see. Tim Mulqueen, the head coach of 901 FC, the only coach they've ever had. He was the architect sort of the way the program was built here. And they made some changes this year, but not enough, and they kept losing at the end. And And so the management at 901 FC decided to fire Tim Mulqueen today with 4 games left in the year. Those are some of the bigger news headlines of the day. We got a doubleheader. The beginning of one series, game 1 in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that will pit Miami against the Boston Celtics. And then we've got a game 7. We've got a game 7 to see who plays the Lakers. Will it be the Clippers, or will it be the surprising Nuggets that will not go away? The guy that we were about to go to, and I just barely grazed it. I touched this board. This board is so sensitive. We just lost the man, Ron Tillery, but we'll get him right back, and we'll get his take on all of that. I'm just telling you, I moved the thing slightly, and he was gone. Have we got him? And I'm telling you, I'm not going to touch this thing. You just play the theme music, and you can bring him in. Once again, it's live. These things happen. The one and only Ron Tillery. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing okay. I mean, not as happy as you are being a retired guy who does nothing all day. That's a great thing.
Well, I wouldn't say nothing.
I know you wouldn't.
Hey, Wolo,
Yeah.
I was on the party bus.
You were on. You spread the darn thing. You're costing me money, Tillery.
Hey, Ron Tillery loves the kids.
Yeah. Well, your son plays at, is it Germantown?
Germantown basketball, yeah.
So, what is your sense today? I mean, and Brett brought this up a little while ago. Dr. Ray today shut down fall sports. There's not going to be any high school football for Shelby County schools, including Germantown, at least for this fall semester. Now, maybe they'll move it to spring. Who knows? He just said for the foreseeable future, nothing. How are they going to play basketball in a month or so inside?
Well, yeah, that's a big question. Everybody's been so concentrated on football, rightfully so. We haven't gotten any information. The disappointing thing would be my son's senior year. He's a senior. He's been on varsity since he was a sophomore. And so hopefully they find a way to play basketball.
I'm with you. I hope they do. We certainly don't know. And then it's, they're going to err on the side of caution. And I guess as a parent, you can appreciate that for sure, because he literally is looking after the best interests of how he sees it for your child. I
totally agree. And I don't blame some of the U of M players, by the way, for opting out. I would be really concerned about sending my kid into football. I don't know. It's a dicey situation.
So we got a doubleheader tonight, and the most interesting game is the Game 7, because the Eastern Conference Finals is certainly interesting, but this is a decider. So this one with all the marbles out there, and I haven't quite been able to figure how Denver got back into this. I don't know if this is bad play by the Clippers or if the Nuggets are just one really tough, mentally made ball club that's a very difficult out. How do you perceive Game 7 tonight?
I think what you just said is a combination of both aspects of this series. The Nuggets have really good chemistry. They play well together. Jokic has been almost unstoppable.
Yep.
We all know that Kawhi is the best player on the court. The question tonight is going to be, will Murray get off? Will he go for big number scoring? Or will Paul George step up? Because he's been kind of erratic in this series. And I think overall, we all know that the Clippers have the best roster from top to bottom. But they've I don't know if they've shown a killer instinct. And, when you look at them offensively, they take bad, when they get up, they take bad shots. They don't move the basketball. And on defense, they're scrambling all the time because Denver moves the ball so well, you get all these wide open corner threes or Jokic at the top of the circle draining shots. So I think it's going to come down. I know we tend to lean on experience, but it's going to come down to the most disciplined team tonight. And Jokic and Kawhi probably will cancel themselves out. It's the others that's probably going to determine this.
And the X factor for the Nuggets in the bubble has been Michael Porter.
Yes, sir. He's come off the bench and he's given them the spark offensively. And again, the Denver team is playing with a lot of confidence, and they have the confidence in part because last season they played some Game 7s. Although they lost, that's the growing pains. In the bubble, they were down 3-1 to Utah and came back and won that series. So they've got the win beneath them. I'm going to make the prediction. I think Denver's going to win tonight.
So he's going with the Nuggets tonight. Yeah, I have to ask you a little bit about Michael Porter because listening to the guys on TNT, and they don't always agree, right? That's part of the reason why they're all there together. Shaq's got to disagree with Charles. Kenny's got to go a different way. And they all thought that Michael Porter had undid his team when he came out and said, they don't let me shoot the ball. It's all Jokic. It's all Murray. I'm wide open, too. I got to talk to these coaches about this. And they all thought, this rookie's never going to see the ball again. And you know what? None of that has occurred. So he came out and said stuff a rookie doesn't usually say, but it really didn't seem to hurt him.
It didn't hurt him, although I will say the very next game, he played 19 minutes and only got 2 shots. There's a pecking order on that team. And Jamal Murray is the reason why they're in this position because he was putting up 50 in that Utah series.
Right.
And like I said before, Jokic is just virtually unstoppable because of his versatility, inside, outside, playmaking. And so I think the only mistake, I like the kid's confidence, Porter. The only mistake he made was airing it out in the media. That's just something that you do behind closed doors with the coaches and with your teammates.
A little more seasoning. Yeah, a little more seasoning. And somebody, a veteran presence could go to him and give him a good piece of advice. We know if the Clippers lose, Ron, we know who's going to wear that loss. It's going to be Paul George and Doc Rivers. It's not going to fall to Kawhi. Kawhi's got enough hardware to fend everybody off.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Doc Rivers survives this. Honestly, I mean, they're married to Paul George. Although I'm not as enamored with him as a lot of people are because I don't think
I'm not either.
Yeah, he's never done anything. But obviously they put that team together to win now, and to not even make the conference finals, I think would be a dagger to Doc.
Especially when you're up 3-1. And here's the thing about Paul George. He started playing well in the beginning of this series. And I don't know what his deal is. I mean, you'll recall he came out, he was slumping terribly in the bubble. And then right before the boycott, he came out and he basically said, I've been depressed. I've really had a hard time handling the depression in this bubble. We were so isolated, no family. It's just basketball. I'm not into it. And he sort of cleansed himself, and then he came out of it with that. And he was playing really good, and now he's not playing good again. I don't understand what it is with him.
Yeah, me neither. I think that's been just the way his career has gone. I mean, he's just been up and down his whole career. Obviously, he's a very talented player, and he gives them the best chance of actually competing and maybe beating the Lakers with his versatility if they make it there. But I think you said it earlier. This whole bubble situation is all about mental toughness, and they're going to sink or swim tonight, whether he has that mental toughness or not. He's got to bring it. He's got to shake all of that stuff off and go play ball.
Now, if Doc Rivers is out there in free agency, somebody's going to get him a great coach. I thought the job he did last year was just one of the great ones ever. But now with all this heft that they brought in for him and the not just billionaire, the super billionaire owner, he thought at least the Western Conference Finals, if not NBA Finals, are bust, didn't he? Wouldn't you suspect?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're built to win now. They have a very talented bench as well. When you think about Lou Williams and Harold.
I mean, this ain't your garden variety billionaire.
Oh yeah, and so this roster from top to bottom is actually better than the Lakers. But
I agree.
But they're not living up to it right now, and so I think there is a chance that Doc would be in trouble if they lose. And to your point, Stats, there's 6 openings, so I don't think he would have a problem landing on his feet.
Well, I'm just going to remind you because these things are so fragile, and it's a new series. Whatever happens in the West against the Lakers, so you mentioned the Nuggets. The Nuggets have made this a great series, but they were a rim out from Mike Conley away from not even being here. So you never know. I mean, if that ball goes through, we're not even talking about how great Jokic or Michael Porter are. We're talking about how Utah surprised everybody or whatever it might be, or maybe the Clippers would have just run away with that one. We'll never know, but we'll see what happens in Game 7. Now Game 1. You've got Denver tonight. How do you have the series between the Celtics and the Heat?
Well, it's definitely going 7 in my opinion, and then from there it's a toss-up. You know, the Heat has been one of the best three-point shooting teams in this bubble, and the Celtics have been one of the best teams defending the three. So that's something to look at. I think Spoelstra putting Dragic in the starting lineup has been huge. And then how about Jay Crowder, who came from the Grizzlies?
Love him.
He's been magnificent. I think the X factors in this series are going to be Kemba Walker for the Celtics, and then Bam for the Heat. And then we cannot forget that the Celtics are going to get Hayward back in this series at some point. So this is going to be the best series of the finals, of the conference finals. It's going 7, and it's a real toss up. I can't pick this one.
Ha!
But you have to.
You got to. Now, I'll let you know. Norsworthy with Miami, Wallow with the Celts.
You know what?
Ron Tillery says?
If I were going to be consistent, I would go with the Celtics because I've been picking them the whole way through. But I hate to slight the Heat because they've been so good defensively. Like I said, they've been shooting the 3 ball. They got Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Bucket. I think the Celtics do have more individual talent, so I'm just going to stick with the Celtics.
There we go. Ron Tillery speaks. We all listen. My friend, thank you much, and we'll find out. We'll find out tonight if you're right about those Nuggets. And I think it's going to be a great game. Can't wait for it. Thank you much.
All right, guys. Good talking to you.
Good talking.
Thank you, Ron.
That is Ron Tillery on the NBA. He's brought to you in part by Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, also where you can find that great Genesis luxury car. They're in the same building, and they're doing more and more now with these luxury cars from Genesis. Soon they're going to have in the next month. And they were telling me today they can't keep them in stock. Everybody wants this new SUV from Genesis. The 21s are in. And they all have limited lifetime powertrain warranties. And the great thing about Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch is you get a 3 or 36,000-mile maintenance package on every one of those new Hyundais or G cars. It's just great. And the durability with that, you see by the way they will give you that warranty. But how about safety? The technology of safety in these things. With my G car, I'm telling you, if I push a button, I can't hit another car. I can't hit another thing. I can't move out of the lane. It's that good. And Hyundai tied for the most number of top safety vehicles in all of 2020. All you got to do is get on Lamar, like we say, get into Mississippi, turn left at Craft Road, and see the standard for the way car business should be done. Go see my friends, Chris True and all the gang, at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We are back in just a minute. We've got Crunch Time coming your way.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Summertime and the living is easy. No more cutting or paying utilities. Literally, you guys, Town Village Audubon Park, nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, themed dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Hiring can be challenging, but ZipRecruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Monica Starks, who needed to hire for her company, GS Group.
As the owner of a construction company, finding the right people is a very difficult task. So I use ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter finds the right people for your job and actively invites them to apply.
With ZipRecruiter, we've hired everyone from accountants to project managers to field scientists.
And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Did you know that right now, Geico is offering an extra 15% credit on car, motorcycle, and RV policies? That's 15% on top of the money Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? Your dog to make you breakfast in bed with Belgian waffles and fresh fruit compote? As nice as that sounds, that's probably never going to happen. But at least there's never been a better time to switch to Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch to Geico by October 7th. Visit geico.com to learn more.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, then we hit fame. We beat you with the deal, we get insane.
This weather's so crazy. Good friend of both of ours, Brett, celebrating a birthday down at Rosemary's Beach in Florida. Sally got him. Has to head home. Now we just find out wildfires are pushing the Giants and the Mariners series out of Seattle.
Why wouldn't they just shut the roof?
I don't know. You know, maybe it's so thick they're worried about it getting into the system. I really do not know. That's a very good question. Because the Seattle does have that roof.
Because if you're going to get it inside at a dome, if you're going to get the virus inside at the dome, then we don't have a prayer going to the grocery store.
Well, no, this is not for the COVID.
I know, but if they've been having the roofs open at all the dome stadiums, even Phoenix in the heat, because of they didn't want it indoors.
Oh, that must
if you're getting it inside at a dome stadium, you don't have a chance going to Walmart.
Well, that's it. I said in the very first hour, a friend of mine had been in Portland yesterday, was supposed to play golf and couldn't. They had a quarter of a mile visibility, and he said the whole place, the the smoke permeated the place. It was like you were sitting in front of a campfire when you were a Boy Scout, Girl Scout, Cub Scout brownie, that sort of thing. It's that intense, and so you're right. I don't know why you don't close the roof except for the COVID issue. That's got to be it. By the way, am I reading this thing right? Is Seattle are the Celtics off to a 13-3 lead early in the first quarter here in game number 1? I believe that's right. Boston off to a roaring start. It's time for crunch time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello,
Boop! What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time. Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
On 1, on 2, on 3, hey!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Dave, I learned today that the baseball bubbles in the postseason will be in Arlington, Houston, Dodger Stadium, and Petco Park. And the World Series in year 1 of Globe Life Stadium in Arlington will in year 1 they'll be hosting a World Series. Just no Rangers. First time since 1944 when all the World Series games were played at Sportsman Park in St. Louis between the Browns and the Cardinals. Will a World Series, every single game, be played in one stadium? What'd you learn?
These are amazing times, and I absolutely commend Rob Manfred. I never thought I'd say that, but I think this is the right thing to do to preserve the fact that you're going to get the best players to play in the games. You're taking care of having the COVID issues that they've had. I guess I learned today the main thing is that Shelby County School Superintendent Dr. Joris Ray decided he will postpone fall sports in the district until further notice. This comes on the heels, and I mentioned earlier, the Arkansas State Central Arkansas game that was supposed to take place has been canceled, and they're going to push back that game until October 10th because they said the team cannot assemble a full 2-deep depth chart at a specific position group because of player unavailability. And that is the way we're going to have to just continue to forge on in college football this year.
Could have done without. Nobody thinks Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson can win this week at the U.S. Open. I'll enjoy however the leaderboard looks on Sunday. It'll be early on Sunday because of the sunlight issue. That's why tee times are so early, including on Thursday morning. First tee time, Memphis time at Wingfoot will be at 5:50 in the morning.
Wow.
Whew, that's early for me, and I like to get up early. But if Phil or Tiger is leading on Sunday, those numbers roaring into Sunday night football would be blockbuster.
Oh, you're not kidding. I could have done without Ken Niumatalolo sort of putting his foot in his mouth. And I am a big fan of Ken Niumatalolo. I think he's a heck of a coach. I think he's a real gentleman. I think he's a nice human being. When I've been around him and I've watched people approach him, he treats everybody so nicely and so evenly. But he was a little bit upset that Air Force is going to be allowed to play for the Commander-in-Chief trophy against both Army and Navy. Navy's playing 11 games. Army's playing 12 games. Niumatalolo basically ripped the Pentagon. He said, this is a decision above us. This is the Pentagon. They just don't get it. They don't care. And then somebody said, Ken, it wasn't the Pentagon's decision. They didn't get involved in this. So he had to apologize, saying it wasn't the Pentagon's decision. and that he needs to learn to shut up, basically, is what he said.
Ooh.
So I feel bad about that for Ken.
Keeping a close eye tonight on the NBA, 12-3 right now, Boston leads. Also mentioned yesterday, watch it every night. Love it, Golf Channel Live from the U.S. Open at Winged Foot in Mamaroneck, 18 miles from Times Square. Heat Celtics going on right now, and that should be fun. And I think it'll be a 7-game classic. And Game 7, that's been a pretty much classic between Denver and the Clippers, and we'll see about baseball tonight, and we'll see about the U.S. Open as tee times are out. And there are some early ones, and there's some interesting ones like Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, and Tiger Woods.
No, that's the best one. The other one has DJ in it with Tony Finau, and I'm trying to remember who the last guy is. They're all long hitters, so that'll be a lot of fun to watch. And also we'll keep an eye on what the Big Ten is going to do if the vote comes out today. We thank Gabe Kuhn, Brent Beard, Jeff Moore, and Bo Marchant, and, of course, Ron Tillery, who went out on the limb with some predictions today. That'll do it for us. Same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.
As you get back to business, small things can make a big difference. Like marking safe distances with floor tape and posting reminders to wash hands. As always, Grainger is here